Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Eyes Up Mother Brown for this third round Carabao Cup tie between West Ham United and Hull City. It is, to begin with, just myself and Noam. Hi, Noam.
Evening, all.
Keeping you company. We should be joined a little bit later on in the evening by some more members of the team who are running late as we speak with real life stuff. So just myself and Noam to begin with. Noam is going to begin by taking us through the two teams for tonight's match, which kicks off in just about 7 minutes' time. There has been, we can confirm, if you're not already aware, there have been some very late changes to the West Ham squad. Quite why, we're not entirely sure, although there are certain rumours which I'll allow Noam to relay to you. But Noam, if you want to begin by taking us through the Matchday squads, that would be grand. Thank you.
Right. Well, yeah, lots of late confusion with the team. But I'll run with what we've got at the moment. In goal, Darren Randolph. Then we have a back four of Johnson, Balbuena, Alese, and Ashby has come in as a late replacement for Diop. In the midfield, we've got some chap called Wilshere who's come in as a late replacement for Cullen.
Who?
New one on me. And Wilshere anyway. Snodgrass, Lanzini, Yarmolenko, excuse me, and we have Anderson and Haller. I won't give you the bench at the moment because it's a bit confusing. As I say, Ashby and Wilshere have come in very, very late on in the proceedings. There is a rumour that this may be COVID-19 related, only a rumour, no backup for that at all. So don't take that as in any way, shape or form as being any gospel or anything like that. The bench before all this included Trott, Ashby, Coventry, Longello, Wilshere, that name again, Bowen and Silva. Now we are hearing that David Martin has been added to that bench, but we don't know if Trott's come out. So in the typical West Ham style, but we may have two keepers on the bench. I somehow don't think we will, but as soon as I can confirm the bench, I will do. But it's all a bit confusing so far. The visitors, they line up thus: Long, Coyle, Smallwood, Batty, Scott, Jones, McLaughlin, Fleming, Mayer, and McGuinness. There are two ex-Hammers on the bench. There's Reece Burke and Martin Samuelson. Both are on the bench for Hull City.
Excellent. Noma's just caught me slightly unawares because I'm adding some links to the KUMB Forum as we speak. Just for those of you who are joining us for the stream from there. Yeah, we're kind of unsure exactly what's going on there, Noma, at the moment, aren't we? The team was put out about an hour ago, and then, of course, about 20 minutes or so after, it was changed completely, and we learnt that a couple of players who were expected to be starting were not now in the squad. There are, of course, rumours that it is COVID related. We don't know whether there's any truth behind this or not. I imagine that's just purely rumour at this stage, but I guess we'll wait to see. But initial thoughts, Noam, on the changed starting 11?
Yeah, we're given the opportunity to blood another youngster in Alessi. Ashby, of course, came on in the last round as a sub. So a couple of youngsters there. Maybe I just a thought that maybe with for whatever reason Diop being pulled out of the team, that with a youngster going in there, it may have been just one youngster too many, and hence Wilshere in for Cullen. Maybe that's the thought there. On my stream, I've got both teams are out now at the moment. Lots of bubbles everywhere, and looking at the right. Well, the David Martin thing seems to have gone away. The substitutes. No, that can't be right. They've actually listed the substitutes as. Well, this is a completely different team I'm getting now with Diop inside. So they're displaying the team as was originally envisaged. Right. So we'll have a look and we'll see who's actually out there.
Yes. Yeah, very. Yeah, I'll leave you to do that for a couple of seconds, but slightly disappointing, I suppose, not to see those ex-Hammers in the starting 11 for Hull. It would have been nice to see how Burke and Samuelson were getting on. up there in the sort of northeast, I suppose, east northeast, Hull, kind of between the two. But they're both on the bench, and we'll be no doubt seeing from something from them at some point during the game. Simon Hooper is our match official tonight. He's the man in the middle. He's currently just talking to Fabian Balbuena, who appears to be captaining the team tonight. We're not getting a very, very good opportunity to look at the team at the moment as Mr. Hooper does the toss. West Ham have won the toss, I can tell you that much, and Balbuena has...
You're ahead of me then.
Do they? I don't know if it's like Sunday League football and they get to choose who takes kickoff. I'm not quite sure how that works at this level, but West Ham will be taking kickoff anyway. Any idea, Noam, on the on that starting 11? Is it? I can't see Diop in there anyway. That for sure.
Yeah, I mean we're sort of focused on the centre circle for obvious reasons at the moment, and we haven't looked back. I can see Snodgrass there, and obviously Yarmolenko's just swaying a lazy leg at the moment. Referee Hoop has come all the way to the side. By the looks of him, just inquiring as to what's in the buffet at half time. As I say, we'll let you know as soon as we can. I'm sorry about this, but we've been given one thing and shown another. So there's a familiar tale.
We are no, we're not underway. I heard the whistle. I thought that was us underway, but it's just the players taking the knee as is their want these days. And no, we are underway, actually. We are underway. West Ham have kicked off. West Ham kicking on our screens from left to right, as we said, with a fairly strong starting 11 out there tonight. No, what are we expecting to see tonight? I mean, we've as we said, we've got a couple of youngsters in there, so they'll be perhaps a little bit nervous. But I mean, looking at what West Ham have got up top, we've got a very, very strong and certainly valuable front three or four. Anyway, looking at that.
Yeah, again, like last week against Charlton, it's all about attitude. It's just go into this with the right attitude. Don't sort of walk into it thinking, "Oh, we're about to win this." We have got a slightly younger side. I'm fairly sure that was Ashby at the back there a minute ago. So we have got Ashby and Alessi in there. So the team as was displayed on the screen was complete twaddle. Just nothing much happening, by the way, if anybody's not got the stream and is relying on us. God help you. But now if the ball's played out to Anderson on the left, who's taken on his fullback, he's just cut inside and had a shot. Oh,
that was very close. Very close.
Yeah.
As Noam says, Anderson's cut in from the left, 22 yards from goal. He's tried his luck. And what do you reckon, Noam? 4 or 5 foot wide of the near post? Not too far away.
Yeah, only a few feet. The trouble with these streams is that you tend to just see the one angle.
Yeah.
Around a yard, maybe, there or thereabouts wide. Not a bad effort. So first effort.
I'll take that. I'll go with a yard. So where are we? Just over a minute gone as I prepare my match notes for tonight, so we can look back at half time. And it's 2 minutes gone. It's West Ham United 0, Hull City 0. West Ham with the first effort of the match coming from Felipe Anderson, who is playing at left back. Any ideas on the shape, looking at what we've got there so far, Noam?
It looks well. It looked like just Yarmolenko's just been caught there. He's hobbling a little bit. It looks a flat back four, unlike the other day, and it's 4 across the middle with Anderson playing just behind Haller. Actually Anderson's dropped back there. He's playing on the wing, and it looks like Lanzini's playing slightly further forward. So I guess that'll be fairly fluid, but that's what it looks like at the moment.
Yeah, pretty standard stuff from West Ham. West Ham, 2 minutes, 45 seconds gone. West Ham with the ball. We've had the ball pretty much since kickoff. There's a long ball gone through to Anderson, who's nearly latched on to the end of that. It's a 50-yard ball played straight through the centre of the park by Balbuena on the ground. It's kind of somehow evaded everybody, and Felipe Anderson's almost got on the end of it, but City's keeper just come out to get a toe on it and put it away. 3 minutes gone. West Ham United 0, Hull City 0. Noam.
Yeah, can I just check your timings? I've got 3:07 now.
Oh, I'm about 2 seconds in front of you, so this is pretty good for tonight. We've just
Okay.
seen Haller pick up the ball 30 yards from goal, turning to his left to find Lanzini, who passes out left to Felipe Anderson on the left side of the box. He drags inside, looks to try another shot, curls one in towards the far post, and it's a couple of yards over the bar, not really troubling the goal, but promising stuff again from the Hammers, no?
Yeah, it's Anderson's definitely got his eyes on having a goal today, isn't he? That's
Yeah,
his
it looks that
second
way.
shot. Again, both times he's been not quite so far out wide this time. He was on the corner of the penalty area, but cut back inside. Whether or not he was aware of the overlap on the left, I don't know, but he kind of used it by not using the pass. And again, curled a shot in from having cut in from the left. As you say, he didn't trouble the keeper.
4 minutes gone. West Ham United 0, Hull City 0. West Ham 2 shots already to Hull's none, both from Felipe Anderson, who, as Noam said, looks like he's got the bit between his teeth this evening. And we saw him play really well, didn't we, against Charlton last week, Noam? And of course, we mentioned the fact that it was League One level opposition, but we were kind of slightly surprised that he didn't get an opportunity to play a bit more on Saturday at Arsenal. But, I guess he looks once again like he's, doing his best to try and win a place in the Matchday squad again.
I mean, the thing that was notable last week when we had the Charlton game was, yes, it was just Charlton, and you can only play what you've got in front of you. But his attitude was right. He was looking for the ball.
Yeah.
He wanted to do stuff with it. He wanted to take people on, and maybe like this evening he wanted to shoot. And we've seen it in the past. So there's a temptation to look on these games as just sort of, well, we'll walk through this, we'll stroll through this.
Mm-hmm.
Not been the case so far.
No, it's all West Ham so far. 5 minutes, 10 seconds gone. West Ham United 0, Hull City 0. The Hull have had the ball for about the last 30 seconds. We're just seeing it played back to the goalkeeper, but it's been all West Ham so far. Hull's goalkeeper tonight, George Long. They're lining up with Coyle, Smallwood, the captain, Dan Batty, James Scott, Alfie Jones, Sean McLaughlin, Brandon Fleming, sounds like a rock star, Thomas Meyer, Josh McGuinness, and Callum Jones. Former Hammers, Reece Burke and Martin Samuelson, both featuring on City's bench tonight. Hull just playing the ball deep down the right-hand side, but Alisi cuts it out and clears the ball to the halfway line, but it's picked up again by Hull, who pass it back out to the right-hand side. They maintain possession. 3 or 4 passes strung together. It's played backwards into their own half. And for the first time in the match, Hull seem to have a foot on the ball. They've switched the ball over to the far side, to the left-hand side. And Jack Wilshere just keeping his eye on City there. It's a great challenge in by Elise, number 42. But
fine tackle. Oh, fine sliding tackle and interception there. Didn't come away with the ball, but it became the ball sort of broke from it as a result of it. As Yarmolenko, his touch lets him down. That was a good tackle there from Alessi.
Looked very good. That's we want to see a bit more of that, don't we? Good, confident challenge as well, I think, from the youngster. Bearing in mind, he's really been used so far. We've just seen a Hull restart, 6.5 minutes gone. The ball's in the centre of the park. Hull's number 22 has the ball and plays it out wide, but Felipe Anderson doing some good work to win the ball back on the left there.
Precisely what we were saying about him last week. He's doing that not obvious, not eye-catching, but there's that donkey work. He's come back. He's halfway into his own half there. And he's broken up a strand of play where Hull had the ball. Good to see.
Yeah, 7 minutes gone. Still not a lot happening. West Ham now beginning to build on the left-hand side. Once again with Anderson, who drifts back inside, plays the ball back to Fabian Balbuena, who turns and looks to play it across to the right-hand side, but instead plays it short, plays a little 1-2 with Jack Wilshere. And the Hammers look to build. Hull quite comfortable sitting back, it seems, at the moment. We've just seen the ball played out to Yarmolenko, but he's conceded possession. Lanzini with a fairly half-hearted challenge on number 6, Richie Smallwood, the captain, who keeps the ball in the centre circle for Hull. Coming up to 8 minutes gone in this game, Hull now looking to build. They've won a free kick because Jack Wilshere's just gone in slightly too strongly on number 34, Callum Jones. And they begin to build again around the halfway line now. 8 minutes gone.
Yeah, we're having a bit of a breather at the moment. We're not letting Hull get at us by any stretch of the imagination, but they're enjoying a bit of across the back type possession, which eventually and predictably ends up back at the keeper. Yeah, that'll all go now because we just want to throw in for that.
A few comments on the match thread. If you're on the KUMB forum, welcome. Be good to see your posts today. Excuse me. Dinner's still going down there. Didn't have it till late. Should have had that a bit earlier. A couple of messages from the forum. Profit Marginal says, welcome back, Reese and Martin. Shame you're on the bench, but I'm sure you can still contrive a late winner coming on the subs. Little message from Mr. Burke and Samuelson, who are, of course, with the Tigers. We'll just come away from that for a minute because Hull are breaking down the right-hand side, some 30 yards from goal. A deep cross has gone in towards the penalty box, headed clear. And it looks like Yarmolenko's going to just about retrieve the ball before it goes off and West Ham hold possession. It's the youngster who clears the ball up the line, but Hull win the ball back. And yeah, it's kind of changed. Hull have pretty much controlled the game for the last 90 seconds to 2 minutes, but a nice biting challenge going in there from the Hammers. But still, Hull have possession, Noam.
Yeah, we're sitting back a little bit, and which is, it's all very well when they're sort of playing it across the back four. It's sort of stuck at around halfway line level. They get so far, they see us in front of them, then they turn around and go back at the moment. Yeah, I'd like to see us retaining possession a little bit when we do get those little feet in. We just saw one there that it came sort of straight, it went straight back to a Hull player. Maybe that's sorry, just as sorry, just watching a game of rugby.
No, what's coming? Jack Wilshere's on the deck, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. We've just seen him. He just went between two players and kind of hauled down. Really, he was grabbed by the neck there, and he's gone down clutching his head as if he's woken up after a particularly strong hangover. But he's up anyway. He's back on his feet, so that's good news.
He's taken the free kick, so he's not injured. Yeah.
Yeah, we're on the halfway line. 10 minutes gone. West Ham in possession once again now. Snodgrass laying the ball back, and West Ham beginning to build again, trying to get a foot on the ball. After Hull having had most of the possession for the last 2 or 3 minutes. A long ball played out wide to Yarmolenko. He's cut inside the box. He's cut inside. It's a real chance for Yarmolenko, and it's a good save, but the keeper's got his hands to it. Hasn't managed to hold on to it, pushed it down, and it's hooked clear, but West Ham have possession again on the left. Snodgrass back to Felipe Anderson, who cuts in towards the box, lays it back to Lanzini, who finds a slide rule pass for Snodgrass. And it's just run out of play. You kind of suspect a fully fit Snodgrass might have got on the end of that one, no?
That was a nice ball down the line to him. Just watching the replay of Yarmolenko cutting in typical Yarmolenko style. Keeper basically did job number one, which was keeping it out, and it was a bit untidy, but it was mopped up. The pass inside the fullback to Snodgrass was a beauty if he could have got on the end of it.
Yeah,
bit of a shame there, but yeah, when we do go forward with intent, but we're looking like we're capable of scoring. Which is always the kiss of death, of course. So pretend I didn't say that.
Big responsibility on Fabio and Balbuena's shoulders tonight, Noam, with the youngsters playing alongside him. We think tonight.
You've got Alessi and Ashby alongside him, yeah. But so far the two youngsters haven't looked out of place. We had that one really good tackle from Alessi, and Ashby's seen a bit of the ball out on the right, where he's been tied. He's not. Taken on a beaten a load of players, but he's not given the ball away cheaply either. He's looked up, found a colleague in space. So yeah, both settling in nicely.
West Ham beginning to build again. Manuel Lanzini picks the ball up, lays it off to Felipe Anderson, who drops it back to Snodgrass. It's a deep cross looking towards the right flank for Ashby, but the defender, the fullback there, is wise to that one, and it's nodded back to the City goalkeeper. We have played 12 minutes here. West Ham have enjoyed 3 shots so far, 3 efforts on goal, really. 2 for Anderson in the 2nd and 4th minute, and then Yarmolenko with the best chance of the match so far on 11 minutes. We're just seeing West Ham, Wilshere doing really well, battling to win the ball 35 yards from Hull's goal, but the ball is cleared. And once again, it's back to the captain for the night, Balbuena, who plays it outside to the youngster, Ashby. Ashby plays it down the line, looking for Hilaire. We haven't seen much of Hilaire tonight, but here's a chance for him to show what he can do. Uses his strength to hold the defender off, plays it back to Ashby. Ashby plays it inside to Jack Wilshere, plays it across to Alesi. Alesi looks up. He's got options in front of him. What's he going to do? He's going to roll it short to Snodgrass, who plays it wide left, and it's cut back again to Felipe Anderson. West Ham looking to build it, looking for a space. Snodgrass in possession now, 30 yards from goal. 1-2 with Felipe Anderson, and another to Anderson, and back again. It's 2 1-2s. Laid into Hilaire. Hilaire finds Anderson 25 yards from goal. Now can West Ham find a shot? It's played it to Yarmolenko. Yarmolenko with 4 whole bodies around him. Looks out wide. It's a nice little ball outside. It's played back again to Lanzini, to Snodgrass. We've seen it played into the box, but it's cleared quite comfortably by Hull, who pick up the ball. West Ham regain possession, but we're just seeing Lanzini now 25 yards from goal. A little ball on the edge of the box to Anderson, who cuts back. Looks for options. Robbie Snodgrass is calling for the ball, and he's duly received it now. He's going to play it back inside to Jack Wilshere, who's in the centre of the park. Lots of nice one-touch passing from West Ham at the moment, even if it isn't that incisive. Yarmolenko now with the ball. He looks over the top for Anderson, plays the ball with the outside of his foot. It's a clever little pass. Anderson receives it right down by the byline, a little touch inside. We've got a chance. It's played. Oh, and it comes to nothing. Better stuff from West Ham, though. No.
The final ball there was behind. I'm not sure who was actually breaking into the box there, but there's a number of occasions where, which hopefully will continue, where the sort of gap in ability and talent class, if you want, has shown where a couple of times there's been a nice little incisive pass inside of the fullback, or we've just got a free kick here. They're just showing the replay of the earlier incident where that's Ashby.
Ashby, yeah, it's not Yarmolenko, isn't it? Yeah.
We said Yarmolenko at the time,
yes,
didn't we?
I did.
So
My apologies.
So fair play to the youngster. Good luck to him. We've got a stoppage because there's a whole player. Is that Smallwood 6? Is having a little bit.
Richie Smallwood. Yeah.
He's had an attack of the vapors or something. But the free kick, when it finally gets taken, will be West Ham's. I think he's come off worse going through the back. I couldn't see who it was, and they haven't dignified us with a replay of it.
Well, we're just seeing we're just seeing on the sideline there the Grant McCann, the Hull City coach, having a chat with his players. Now, Grant, of course, famously played for West Ham in a certain game at Blackburn. Were you there that day?
That was one I didn't go to.
Just as well.
I was. As you're well aware, I have been known to go to games whilst in plaster and on crutches. But that particular day was 24 hours after a knee op. Yeah. And so I'm glad I missed out on that. But it was a comedy own goal from McCann. He just got his legs completely in a tangle and sort of aimed a clearance at the far post. He was aiming it in the general direction of upfield, and it sliced off his standing leg and went completely the other direction in his own net. And poor bloke, that's what we'll always remember him for down here.
Yeah, unfortunately. What was it, 7-1 in the end that day?
7-1 rings a bell, yeah. So for those I was in the Station Hotel with the lovely Mr. and Mrs. Arnold, my two good friends, and I just mixed the painkillers with Courage Best, and it still didn't look any better.
And no, unfortunately, as you say, that's what he's going to be most remembered for at West Ham. In case you're wondering why we're banging on about Grant McCann and something that happened nearly 20 years ago, it's because there's been a substitution for Hull. We've been looking for something to happen. It looks like the captain has gone off there, Gnome. Richie Smallwood being replaced by their number 10, who I'm not quite sure who that is. So I'll have to have a look at the whole Twitter feed just to see who that is. But it's 17 minutes gone, and Hull have already made a substitution.
Yeah, Smallwood was the perpetrator of that foul, and it sort of came off a bit worse, I'm afraid, for him. So, as I say, I'll leave you to try and dig out who the. I just missed the feed. I looked away at the wrong time, where it would have told us.
We've just seen a long ball sent up towards Sebastian Haller, 30 yards from goal. He's nodded it back and retained possession. Lanzini looking to build on the right, plays it inside to Yarmolenko. Yarmolenko looks up, 20 yards from goal, drops the shoulder, goes inside, cuts a lovely little ball across to Snodgrass, and it's in the back of the net. 1-0 West Ham. No.
Lovely finish. It was, I think, in the previous few minutes, we begun to tighten the screw a little bit. And again, it's one of those ones where as my feed jams, it's one of those ones where the gap in class told. I mean, it was A lovely ball out from Yarmolenko out to the left. Snodgrass's finish was a peach.
Lovely volley.
Good work from Lanzini as well to win the ball out on the right. And Yarmolenko shimmied, twisted and turned. Snodgrass had acres of space out left, and say first time volley into the bottom corner.
Lovely finish from Robbie
Fine
Snodgrass. Great movement. And let's, of course, not forget the part that Sebastian Haller played in that particular goal. The ball played very long to him, and he rose like a salmon on the edge of the box to nod it back and retain possession from when Lanzini created the move. Brilliant pass from Yarmolenko out to the left, but Snodgrass watched it very well and put the volley straight across the goalkeeper into the far corner, low into the bottom corner. West Ham lead, 18 minutes gone. Hull looking to hit back straight away, but the youngster has West Ham's young right back as Ashby has just cleared of the ball. The Hull keep possession, 35 yards from goal. The substitute with the ball, the substitute who has no name at present, has the ball. And Hull,
I can either look it up or I can watch the game, but I can't do both. So.
Yeah, it's very difficult with only two of us.
Call him Eastwood, the man with no name. Yeah.
It's quite difficult with only two of us because I can't pass comms off at the moment to
we can't delegate.
Else. Yeah. Honeyman is the substitute. I can exclusively confirm now. Number 10.
Yeah, I knew that.
Honeyman. So there you go. So replacement, Hull make a change after 17 minutes. 60 seconds later, the ball's in the back of their net. Robbie Snodgrass scoring his first goal of the season, and West Ham winning 1-0. Now, we have just seen some breaking news coming out from the PA. West Ham have announced that manager David Moyes and players Issa Diop and Josh Cullen have tested positive for coronavirus. So some huge breaking news coming for you there. West Ham have confirmed that David Moyes, Issa Diop and Josh Cullen have tested positive for coronavirus. So no, those rumours were actually correct. We'll come back to that in a second because Jack Wilshere is bursting through the middle and he's played it to Felipe Anderson, who's tried to put Haller in, but the defender's wise to that and just about seen it out. No, we did hear rumours before the game, but we didn't know anything about Moyes, that's for sure. We heard about the players.
Yeah. Well, obviously, we wish them sort of all the best. I mean, I'm not going to turn myself into any sort of coronavirus expert or anything, but we do know that Diop and Cullen are fit, sort of young athletes, sort of thing. So we would hope that that will stand them in good stead. Moyes obviously a little bit older, but we wish everyone all the best and hope for a speedy recovery. As Hull played the ball in, but it's clear. I think that was by Alessi. A bit of a shock of that then. Of course, we don't know when they tested or anything like that. So will that affect Arsenal's situation? Because obviously we played them last week. That will obviously then make it our squad selection for Saturday a little bit more difficult.
The ball's curled into West Ham's box. Sorry, no, I'm just cutting in there. Hull looking to bounce back. The ball curled into West Ham's box low, but Randolph is first to it, smart and alert to come out and seize the ball. There's 22 minutes gone. West Ham currently 53% possession to Hull's 47. Fairly close game, as I guess we've sort of indicated so far. But West Ham do lead 1-0. Robert Snodgrass with the only goal of the game so far, scoring against his former club, of course, Hull City. But that's big news about Moyes and Diop there. Three players and Josh Cullen, of course.
Just wondering, just there when Randolph came out to sort of mop up a through ball that was slightly too long from Hull's perspective. Was that the first time Randolph touched the ball?
I think it was. Yeah. I can't remember him touching it before, which is something else. But bear in mind we're exactly halfway through the first half now. 22 and a half minutes gone, and 20 minutes before Randolph got his hands on the ball. Josh Cullen, of course, we knew something was amiss known because both Cullen and Diop were due to start the game tonight, both included in the starting 11. And then, of course, less than half an hour before the match began, we got the message to confirm that neither of them would be playing. But I mean, Moyes, of course, was a real shock. We've not seen. I don't think we've seen the camera pan to the sideline at all yet tonight, have we? So we wouldn't be aware if he was there or not.
I'm guessing he won't be if he's tested
Well, not
positive.
now, no, but we wouldn't have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I sort of meant, but we wouldn't have known. We're just seeing Johnson break on the left for West Ham, 30 yards from goal, plays it down the left flank to Felipe Anderson. Anderson looks up, tries to cut inside, drops and plays the ball 25 yards back to Robert Snodgrass, the goal scorer, who plays it in the centre of the park to Lanzini. He's got plenty of room in the middle of the park there. Snodgrass gives it back. It's played to Anderson, to Johnson, back to Snodgrass, Snodgrass to Anderson. Anderson comes back inside and it's played back to Fabian Balbuena on the halfway line. West Ham looking to build. Yarmolenko, who got the assist for West Ham's goal with that fantastic little pass to goal scorer Snodgrass, picks up the ball. He's on the halfway line now and plays it back to Elise, who looks wide for Robert Snodgrass. Not much really happy at the moment. West Ham just content to keep the ball, and that's a big challenge. Someone's gone right through the back of Felipe Anderson there, who's sent.
Come on, referee hasn't even blown for that.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like a certain foul, didn't it?
Him.
Went right through Anderson from behind, but nothing given. West Ham looking to build again.
That's the falling referee.
We're just seeing Yarmolenko win possession. West Ham now about 40 yards from Hull's goal and just playing the ball. Looked like a certain foul, that one, known, didn't it? Surely.
To get anything, a ball. It just went straight through the back of him. Yeah, I mean, you've got the ball after he.
And again. We've just seen a long ball played. It's going to be too long for Felipe
he played
Anderson.
advantage on that one, to be fair. But the other one, he made the advantage signal for that last one. But that's twice now that the couple of a bit naughty challenges. I think Pinky was referring last week when we played Charlton that Charlton hadn't resorted to that sort of thing, and we've already seen two very iffy challenges from Hull.
The good news is, of course, known that Felipe Anderson is back on his feet. He didn't stay down, so it can't have been any long-lasting effect.
But it was a shocker.
There's another touch for Darren Randolph.
Yeah,
look at that.
He did have a couple of touches with his feet a few minutes ago as well. But as I say, I mean, he may have had touches before that one where I noted, and no doubt somebody will be correcting me. But it just I couldn't remember it. He's had that little to do. And that was certainly the first meaningful touch he'd had anyway, where he had to come out and mop up a long ball.
Coming up to 26 minutes gone, it's West Ham United 1, Hull City 0. The only goal of the game scored by Robert Snodgrass in the 18th minute. The big news of the night, of course, isn't what's going on the pitch, it's what's going on off it, with the news that David Moyes, Josh Cullen and Issa Diop have all been confirmed as having contracted coronavirus. So quite how that will affect West Ham's plans for this weekend's match against Wolves remains to be seen. But I would like to say a big welcome to everyone who's joined us on Yahoo Chat tonight, the regulars, and of course also to those of you who are joining us for the first time ever. Do let us know what you think of the game if you've got it on. If you haven't, stay tuned. We'll try and keep you up to date as much as possible. We're just seeing West Ham break down the right. Again, everything seems to be coming from the right at the moment. It's Ashby plays it into Lanzini, plays it back to Yarmolenko. Yarmolenko is running back towards his own goal. But it's all nice little one-touch stuff from West Ham at the moment. Still building. Hull have got 10 men behind the ball. So there's not really much to profit from West Ham there. It's now switched over to the other side where Ben Johnson picks up the ball and finds Felipe Anderson, who promptly gives the ball away, looking for Jack Wilshere. But the ball is played out and West Ham have a throw-in known. 27 minutes gone.
Yeah, just the Anderson and Wilshere, not quite on the same wavelength. Anderson played it short, and Wilshere had taken a step to go slightly longer. So, but we still retained possession. I just thought a minute Randolph was going to get another touch, but Balbuena elects to turn and go forward with it. And we've got Ashby, who's had a tidy start so far. Not really done anything wrong, and he's been he's used the ball well. He's normally found a teammate, which is...
Here's Yarmolenko, 18 yards out, looks to shoot. It's blocked straight away. Hull City managed to clear their lines yet again, and we're just seeing Hull break down the left. Now, here's a real chance, but Ashby's done really well to chase back and get back behind his man and hold Hull up. They still have possession, the Tigers. The ball is switched to the right-hand side as we're looking at it. Hull playing from right to left on our screens. 28 minutes gone, and we are joined by the Pink Palermo. Mr. Palermo, how are you, sir?
Evening all. A bit hassled, obviously late, apologies, but sometimes one's got to earn an honest crust every now and again. But yeah, 1-0. Who got the goal?
Robert Snodgrass,
Snodgrass.
18 minutes. A wonderful little move by West Ham and a great little pass from Yarmolenko out left to Snodgrass, who took it on the volley and spanked it into the far corner. Lovely finish. I don't know if you've heard the news, Pinky, but just to bring you up to date, it has been confirmed that David Moyes, Issa Diop and Josh Cullen, both of whom were supposed to start tonight, have been confirmed as having contracted coronavirus. The team sheet was changed very late, about half hour before kickoff. Both of those players pulled out. So that's the real news of the night so far. There were rumours about an hour or so before the game started that something was amiss, but yeah, it's only just been confirmed about 10-15 minutes ago. So yeah, a bit of a shocker there, really. Of course, David Moyes was in isolation, wasn't he, earlier in the year when we've just go back to the game quickly, because Felipe Anderson's just played a lovely made a lovely run down the left and made a lovely dummy. It's played out to Ben Johnson, who looks to cross it low, but it's blocked and put out for a West Ham throw-in 3 yards from Hull's byline. So yes, big news there, Pinky.
Yeah, I mean, very, very much so. And I'm sure we've got enough to get us through this evening's game. Obviously Diop will be a loss for the weekend. That is for certain. And David Moyes as well. I mean, how do you coach players if you're isolating? So that's a serious blow. But I mean, for me, the big news here is that Jack Wilshere I see on the pitch.
It is Dirty Jack. He's out
we
there.
were hoping you could identify him for us.
Yeah, he looks a bit older than when I last saw him, but that's understandable. He comes out about once a year, doesn't he? So
yeah, he was supposed to be on the bench tonight, Pinky, and he was the late replacement for Josh Cullen, we understand.
Just say there that there was some fine work from Balbuena. He was left one-on-one with an attacker, and Balbuena held him up nicely and won possession, and we got possession back. But a sort of, not a half chance, even a sort of, I don't know, a 10th chance there, if you like.
Felipe Anderson's just been sent packing to the deck again. The referee's waved play on. West Ham, Lanzini has the ball 35 yards from goal and tried to play it through to Hilaire, but once again, it's just about being cut out. No, it looks like Felipe Anderson is being targeted a little bit tonight. That's 3 times in the last 15 minutes he's been sent tumbling to the deck by a late challenge.
I mean, 2 out of the 3 times the referee acknowledged the foul. The first of those 3 was just ludicrous, where he just waved play on. But that's twice now that the referee has acknowledged the foul. So he did play advantage. He acknowledged it and played advantage, which is fair enough. But I suspect that the next person to try that on Anderson might not be quite so lucky.
We are a third of the way through the game. West Ham United 1. Excuse me again. Dinner repeating on me, so I told you I shouldn't have had it so late. Hull City 0. The only goal of the game from Robert Snodgrass after 18 minutes. We're seeing West Ham with the ball about 20 yards from goal. Hilaire holding on to it, being strong, looking to lay in Lanzini, but it's a poor pass, and Lanzini's got no chance whatsoever of getting on the end of that one. Pinky, have you got the stream on, may I ask?
I have, yeah.
Oh, okay, good. So
we're on the Carabao Cup £10 Game Pass thing. So I'm showing 31 minutes and 41 seconds.
Brilliant. We are all pretty much on par.
Right, everyone's 2 seconds ahead of me.
Yeah, well, at least we haven't got the 15-second delay that we sometimes get with the Sky broadcast anyway. So that's good. Yeah. At least hopefully we can all celebrate roughly at the same time if we're to score any more goals. Welcome to everyone joining us on YouTube chat. Larry Bowyer, Paul Fury, Zoe Ladlow, NG, Paul, Sylvan, Robert Young, etc. Good to see you guys. Let us know what you think of the game. If you're watching it, if you're not watching it, let us know what you think of anything else, really. It doesn't really matter. Something to keep us chatting. Darren Randolph has touched the ball again. It's about his 5th or 6th touch of the game, and he's just rolled the ball out to Fabian Balbuena, who's played a James Collins-esque 70-yard pass from one penalty box to the other to Felipe Anderson, who stuck out a leg and completely missed it, and it's rolled out, and he acknowledges the pass. But Pinky, it's 1-0. You obviously haven't seen much of the game, but it's pretty basic stuff so far. Not a lot happening really at the moment.
No, and I'd say it's a team of 2 halves. Never mind a game of 2 halves, isn't it? If we look at it, we've got a bit of an inexperienced defensive lineup tonight, I'd suggest.
Yeah, very much so.
You know, Balbrino accepted. But, you know, Wilshire and Snodgrass, they've got enough games under the belt. And, you know, just look at that. Yarmolenko, Lanzini, Anderson and Hilaire. Is there another club? Is there another club that can just taunt this competition with such an array of talent that we can field it in the midweek cup game? You know, Mr. Sullivan, he must be sitting there purring at this. He must be thinking, if I can afford to play these guys midweek, my manager can't possibly need any reinforcements.
Yarmolenko's played the ball back on the edge of the box to Jack Wilshere, who's just chipped it over to Felipe Anderson. It's just a bit short, but Ben Johnson it is who's picked the ball up wide on the left now. Play back to Robbie Snodgrass, who finds Felipe Anderson. West Ham looking to create a second goal here. And it's played back to Elise, who's looked pretty decent so far, Noam, hasn't he, on the evidence of the first half hour or so? Sorry,
he's had a quietly confident. He's had a quietly confident start. As I say, I mean, I'm a couple of seconds behind you. He's put in a couple of very good, one particularly good and timely sort of tackle, and he's not looked. I mean, again, caveat the fact it's playing Hull, but he's not looked out of place. Similarly, Ashby, have I said that gives the ball away, but he does win it back. And I mean, for the benefit of Pinky, I think Anderson's kind of picked up where he left off last week in terms of attitude. He had a few shots very early on. I'd like to see a little bit more out of Haller. Myself is the one very quiet sort of person, but you know,
he looks a little bit disenchanted at the moment out there, doesn't he, Haller? He's just waving his arms around at Ashby for a slightly poor pass, and he's doing the same again now to Anderson. So he seems to be cutting a slightly frustrated figure out there at the moment.
Yeah, but he's not. I mean, okay, you could say he's waiting for service, but there have been a couple of times where he's been sort of near the ball. You think, well, go and challenge for that. You know, it's not that far away. Go and, at least make a nuisance of yourself. So, I mean, we're not exactly we're not exactly over endowed with striking power on the bench. I don't know, because the bench that we were given is obviously not the bench that we've got out there. Yeah,
we think we've got two goalkeepers on the bench as well, Pinky. That's another thing which is interesting. Here's an interesting point from Trimbleco. I think that's how you pronounce it on the YouTube chat. He asks, I don't know about the season, but this match should have been postponed. The entire club, Arsenal, referees, etc., should all be isolating. I think he might have a point there, Pinky. What do you reckon, given that two players and David Moyes have been pulled out within an hour of the kickoff?
Yeah, I mean, it makes you wonder because, if, let's say you test the players at half time, would some of them then show symptoms? It's difficult. But I think we're all kind of getting used to the idea now that top flight soccer, there's a different set of rules, isn't there? And the money being all pervasive. So there should be, and there is likely to be, and I think it's not likely they're going to pull a game off. But we've got a similar situation happening with Leyton Orient and Tottenham Hotspur.
Yes,
that was called off. Yeah,
that was called off.
I haven't. I'm a bit like you, Pinky. I've come sort of straight from effectively working at the kitchen desk to this. So I'm not totally up to date with how many people were involved at Leyton Orient, but that game.
Cut in there. No, I'm sorry, because we're just seeing Anderson burst into the box. He's played it back to Lanzini, who's turned and looks to shoot. He has a shot, and it's inches wide of the right-hand post. A real good chance there for West Ham. It was Anderson who broke down the left-hand side, played it into the box where it reached the foot of Lanzini, who had his back to goal, I believe, turned, looked up, tried to whip one into the far corner. The goalkeeper was beaten, but unfortunately the post was just about. But I think the goalkeeper, to his credit, might have had it covered there actually. But decent stuff, Pinky, from West Ham there.
Yeah, very much so. But just picking up on your observation on Haller, I mean, what does it take to get this man angry? You know,
Yeah.
I mean, is there anything we can say to him just before kickoff? Like, I don't know, you've run out of your favourite cocoa or something like that. That will actually get him fired up. I mean, he seems disinterested, if you get my drift. You know, and it's like
Yeah.
you almost want somebody to go clattering into him, so you get a reaction, so he starts running around a bit more. He seems positively docile, if you're asking me. And he was just stood there watching as Lanzini cracked the shot off. And it's like, you know, what if it had hit the keeper, come
Yeah.
out for a rebound? Haller didn't look to me like he was ready to run in and, you know, for a tap in.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, oh, he's having a shot. You know, it's one of those. But Hull now have a free kick here. It's on the left-hand side. Number 10, whoever he is, lines up, sends the ball in, goes to the back stick. Randolph comfortably collects, rolls the ball out, and it's Johnson pouring down the left-hand side.
Good
Number
stuff.
10's Honeyman. Fancy not knowing that, Pinky.
Sorry?
Yes,
Number 10 is
Yeah, I'm
Honeyman.
not really
It's-
familiar with the whole lineup. It must be said. Yeah.
That one's an in joke from when you weren't here. We'll explain later.
Yeah,
Oh, right, okay.
the captain was replaced with 17 minutes gone. Honeyman, the number 10, is the player that came on, and we took about 10 minutes before we could actually figure out what he was called. We had to do some deep digging into the whole Twitter feed to find that one out, which took a little bit of time. 39 and a half minutes gone. West Ham United 1, Hull City 0. 5 minutes to go until the break. West Ham looking really comfortable here. Darren Randolph hasn't had a save of note to make. We're seeing West Ham build. Here is Hilaire, that man we've just been slightly critical of. Plays the ball out right, looking for Yarmolenko. It's a decent pass. Can Yarmolenko get on it? He can. He pulls it back into the box. It's or maybe not, as the case may be. Yes, no, we've been allowed to continue. The ball was played back. Felipe Anderson, I'm not quite sure what happened there. He looked like he could have taken a swipe at that, but instead just kind of fumbled the ball back, and it was straight back into the hands of the goalkeeper, and Hull allowed to clear the ball. 40 minutes gone, 1-0. There was a message I was just about to read out. I can't see where. Hello to Hammer Mulder, who is watching us live from California. I know where I'd rather be right now, buddy. And it's probably over there. How's the weather? Hope it's nice. Ball, West Ham looking to build again. Look for Johnson down the left, but it's comfortably cleared out. No, 41 minutes gone, 1-0 West Ham.
Yeah, looking comfortable. I'm still a couple of seconds behind you, so now it's just been comfortably cleared. So, but yeah, I mean, echo what everyone's been saying about Haller. It's he needs he needs to get as angry as I was this afternoon, because I had a letter about one of my clients from HMRC that was complete twaddle, and I got rather angry, and he needs something like that. Somebody send him a tax demand.
The ball has just been played behind. I wasn't looking at the screen there, Pinky. Is that a goal kick or a corner? No, it's a goal kick.
Goal kick.
I was looking at a different screen, it must be said, because I'm desperately trying to catch up with the team lineups and one or two other things. But
if you can find out who's
you've
now
caught
on
me
our
there,
bench,
so
Pinky.
thank you very much indeed.
I do apologise. Both of us,
Pinky,
neither of
you've
us
got
on the
teams
board.
there.
Yeah. No. Have we seen who's on the sidelines for West Ham in Mr. Moyes' absence tonight? Is it Alan Irvine?
I'm trying to say there was. I think it might have been. So
I'm
to be honest, it's not. I suspect it is. Yeah, it's
I can see the silver hair.
Silver hair.
Silver hair, and I can't think of anyone else. Nolan's not quite at that stage yet, is he? But,
yeah.
So 3 minutes to go till half time. Anyway, West Ham looking to build again. Robert Snodgrass picks up the ball on the halfway line, drifts a long 40-yard pass out wide to the youngster Ashby, and the ball sails right over his head and into touch. So yeah, we're getting a good shot now. I presume I think that is Alan Irvine. His hair looking slightly longer than it probably would normally be, but I guess that's one of the sacrifices he's had to make.
You're used to, Graham.
Sorry?
No problem. You're used to, eh?
Oh, that's harsh. That's harsh. We are seeing West Ham build again, but Hull again putting bodies behind the ball. 2.5 minutes till half time. The only goal of the game so far coming in the 18th minute from Robert Snodgrass with a really well executed volley from a fantastic pass by Andrei Yarmolenko, drifting the ball from one side of the box to the other. If you haven't seen the goal yet, have a look on Twitter or wherever you can find it. It's really worth having another look at. Ball played straight into the bottom corner of Hull's goal to give West Ham the lead. A bit of head tennis at the moment as the ball is played around the halfway line. Ben Johnson picks it up, little 1-2 with Jack Wilshere, who lays it back to Fabian Balbuena. Balbuena, the experienced head, in control of a very, very young back four tonight. But they've, Pinky, from what you've seen so far, they've done pretty well so far, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, this is all the hallmarks of Hull perhaps not taking this all together seriously, if I'm being honest. The game is being played almost entirely in the Hull half, and it's at what I call a kind of a 2/3 pace kind of game. So no one's really thrown themselves about too much. West Ham totally in control of this, totally in control.
We're just coming up to the final minute of the first half, the final minute of regulation time. That is 44 minutes played. Hull trying to break on the right, but the move fails, as it has so often for them so far tonight. They've not been outplayed so far. The possession is fairly even. The stats were 53-47 in West Ham's favour about 15 minutes ago. I haven't had a look recently to see how that's changed, but I wouldn't have thought it's that much different. But West Ham, with the only real incisive effort so far, as I said, that goal coming after 18 minutes, Darren Randolph, so far not troubled whatsoever by Hull's attack. We're just seeing Ashby on the ball, a poor touch, excuse me. He loses the ball, but West Ham win it back. Hammett Mulder says, it's beautiful weather in paradise, mate. Lovely to hear it. Lovely. We're just seeing, and Yarmolenko's in, it's a chance. He's played it across to Haller, and it's 2-0. No, take us up.
Well, I'm just waiting for it to happen. Yeah,
I can assure you we've scored.
Yeah, Yarmolenko gets on. Basically, Hull failed to clear a ball, came off a Hull defender. Yarmolenko mopped it up. Very similar to the Haller goal last week. Yarmolenko slightly on the right-hand side this time of the penalty area, just squared it, and Haller, right place, right time, tap in. Good move. A little bit fortunate there. The Hull player sort of didn't cut the ball out, and it was a nice little flick ball just along the ground, 3 feet into Haller, who really, if he'd missed that,
couldn't miss it, really, could he? Yeah. I was just going to say that, Pinky. We've just seen our man smile for the first time tonight. He's put the ball in the net. It's 2-0.
Well, he might be smiling, but what Noam is describing as a nice little flick pass by Yarmolenko to feed Haller, yeah, I would actually sub him right now for not using his right foot, because it's the sort of flick pass that's got all the chance of going wrong, yeah, and he's only done it because he will not use his right foot under any circumstances, and it drives me mad. It was 3 foot, and he still won't trust his right peg. Bizarre. Goalkeeper.
We complain about the goal.
the harshest of critics at times we are here on the Eyes Up Mother Brown.
Do the Roy Keane role.
But anyway, regardless, Yarmolenko has another assist. It's 2 assists for the Ukrainian tonight. And that's it. I was just going to say we're in the first minute of additional time, 1 minute added on. We actually played 1 minute and 20 seconds. The halftime whistle going at 46:20. It's West Ham United 2, Hull City 0. Robert Snodgrass opening the scoring on 18 minutes. Sebastian Haller and smiled all night until he put the ball in the net in the final minute of regulation time at the end of the first half. No, that's a bit of a killer goal, isn't it, as far as Hull are concerned, right there at the end of the first half?
Yeah, it's a fair reflection, really, I think, on the play as well. I don't think Hull can have any complaints at all. They've created, I say nothing really.
Nothing.
Randolph's really just his only involvement in the game has been bit of mopping up here and there. I'm still laughing at Pinky complaining about the goal. So it just reminds me of when years ago I used to play for Midland Bank, where I was brought on as a sub to play in midfield and shore things up when we were 1-0 up, and I got the ball and everyone got out of me way and I went running up the other end and scored, and the skipper, a lovely guy called Richard Carey, sort of as a jog back said, "Well done, now don't do that again." That's Pinky all over, isn't it?
Pinky, I don't know if you can just keep an eye on Twitter and see if we can find anything else out about that coronavirus issue that we were talking about. I don't know if there's any more news that you can find out. No, I don't know if you want to have a quick look at the.
I mean,
Pinky, go on.
So yeah, just the obvious comments that I'm reading on Twitter that clearly the players have spent too much time in their own front rooms because the stadium is the safest place you can be, apparently, according to Baroness Brady. So with another brilliantly timed article at the weekend in her paid-for newspaper column saying that fans have got to be allowed in, how safe it is in stadiums, and yet a couple of days later, 2 players and the manager COVID positive. How's your luck, Karen? How's your luck, eh?
Classic timing by West Ham United's vice chair, as Pinky says there. We do, of course, on a more serious note, we do, of course, wait to see what will happen ahead of this weekend's game against Wolves. And, of course, the question mark remains as somebody, my apologies, I forget who it was now, raised the question via YouTube chat of whether tonight's game really should have gone ahead following the news that David Moyes, Issa Diop, and who else was it? Josh Cullen, of course. Josh Cullen tested positive for coronavirus ahead of tonight's game.
The BBC feed at the moment is it's still at the breaking news stage, with more to follow. But I'll read the official comment as it stands at the moment. It says West Ham United manager David Moyes and 2 of the club's players have tested positive for COVID-19. The club were informed of the positive tests while preparing for Tuesday's League Cup tie against Hull City at London Stadium. Moyes, 57, defender Issa Diop, 23, and 24-year-old midfielder Josh Cullen will now be required to self-isolate. The managers and both players immediately left the stadium and have returned home, said a club statement. So there's more to follow. That's basically where we are on that at the moment. Obviously, as soon as we know more on that, we'll let you know.
Yeah, sure. Interesting stuff. So confirmation there, Pinky, that David Moyes and the players were at the stadium when they were ordered to go home. Now, that strikes me as rather unusual then, given that Tottenham and Orient's game was postponed, that tonight's game was allowed to continue.
It is bizarre, and I'm not sure what all the clubs have agreed behind closed doors about, at what point you postpone a game and whose decision it really is. Mm-hmm. So I very much get the impression that as far as the Tottenham game was concerned, they were kind of looking for any reason not to play. And I believe they actually paid for the COVID test for the Leyton Orient lads, didn't they?
Yeah, that's how I understand.
Us,
yeah.
Are these tests done? I think they're doing these tests, on the match day, probably doing the tests at the stadium. So, you could understand if they've tested everybody, these are the only 3 people that have got it, maybe on that basis, provided Hull don't object, it proceeds.
On the subject
I'm not
of
entirely
testing,
sure what the protocol is.
Yeah.
Okay.
On the subject of testing, Pinky, it has been, or it does seem to be the thing that where a Premier League club is up against lower opposition, the Premier League club is paying for the testing. Because we paid for Charlton's, I'm given to believe, and we've also paid for Hull's testing for this tie. That's happened. I think Tottenham were paying for Leyton Orient and as well, but that seems to be the thing at the moment. Okay. Would you like some other scores while I'm here?
And why not? Yes, please, Noam. What's happening elsewhere in the world of football tonight? As
mentioned, Leyton Orient versus Tottenham has been postponed. We have Newport County 2, Watford 1. That's the score in 62 minutes. West Bromwich Albion 1, Brentford 1, again 62 minutes. Obviously, it's 2-0 to West Ham at the London Stadium. And the game is 5 minutes old at Kenilworth Road. And it's Luton Town 0, Manchester United 0.
Okay, good stuff. Let's have some match stats, shall we, from the first half of West Ham United versus Hull City. Of course, the only stat that really matters is the one in the goals scored column. West Ham 2, Hull City 0. The goals coming in the 18th minute for Robert Snodgrass and the 45th minute from a previously miserable-looking Sebastian Haller. Half-time stats: possession. West Ham have enjoyed 60% to Hull City's 40%. The Hammers have had 6 shots. Hull yet to test Darren Randolph. 3 shots of those 6 have been on target for West Ham, 2 of which were clear-cut chances. Neither side has produced a cross in the entire first half, which probably says a lot. But successful dribbles, West Ham have completed 5 out of 7 to Hull City's 4 out of 6. Passing accuracy, West Ham 86% passing accuracy, 76% in the attacking third. Hull City 79% passing accuracy to 38 in West Ham's third of the pitch. Tackles won. West Ham have won 67% of their tackles to Hull's 50% and have made 9 interceptions to Hull City's 6. Aerial duels won, very close. West Ham have won 55% of their aerial challenges to 50% of Hull's. And in terms of fouls committed, West Ham have committed 5 and conceded 3. There are some other bits and bobs, but they're not really relevant. You don't really need to know those. But as I said, the only stat that really counts so far is the one that says West Ham United lead 2-0 at halftime through goals from Snodgrass and Yarmolenko. Shall we take a dip into the KUMB Forum match for gentlemen? I don't know if anyone's keeping an eye on that right now.
This lump of computer, it's all I could do to keep an eye on the game with it.
Well, I can tell you that Wolf 359 says, or said after the second goal, nice. Hopefully that puts the game to bed as Hull look toothless tigers, in fact, and they certainly look a bit like that. And lots of comments about the coronavirus testing. Celador says Yarmolenko loves a cup match against a side where he doesn't have to track back particularly hard. Of course, that was something that we raised an issue with at Arsenal on Saturday afternoon. Saturday evening, wasn't it? It wasn't Saturday afternoon. Pinky, I mean, you, of course, joined us midway through the first half. Didn't see the first goal, unfortunately. But from what you've seen so far, I mean, have we got anything to be particularly concerned about in the second half? Or is this going to be just pretty much a parade now from here on, do you think?
I mean, the game's over. I'm sorry, but, it's 2-0, the job's done, and with the quality that we've got in certainly half a dozen positions on the field, it would take a Devon Lock type collapse for us to lose from here. So stick it all on a Hull win right now. If you've got a betting account, now is the time to pile on Hull. But in all seriousness, we're in total control. The biggest risk to us really might be complacency. But I'd hope Alan Irvine is saying to the players at halftime, look, put them to the sword. Sebastian, you're struggling for confidence clearly. Get some back by banging in 2 or 3 tonight. We've seen an improved sort of activity level from Felipe Anderson against Charlton last week.
Yep.
It was reasonably lively tonight. So these games can actually boost confidence. Give the club a bit of a G up. And you'd rather win 4-0 than 2-0. So keep going for it is what I'd be saying. But the worry is on the the COVID scenario for me.
Yeah.
2 players, the manager. It kind of suggests that I hardly think the 3 of them are shacked up in a 3-bedroom house in Romford to save a bit of money on rent. So I think it's a reasonable assumption they live in separate dwellings. So the chances are it's a work environment kind of thing. Yeah. We're told they're asymptomatic. So maybe that's a positive, but I think there's quite a likelihood that other players will test positive in the days ahead. And it's all well and good tonight's game going ahead. I'd have serious doubts about Sunday's game going ahead. I've just seen the stats on Leyton Orient. 10 of their players tested positive. 10. So maybe Cullen, Diop, and Moyes. Maybe nobody talks to them. Maybe it's
hopefully
they train alone. Yeah, but I mean, we don't know the particular arrangements for the changing rooms.
Yeah,
the showers, the access to the physios, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and I'd be quite interested to know, because every time you see a shot of an injured player, they're always on the physio's couch getting, their soleus massaged or whatever it may be. What goes on now, post-match, when players are used to a bit of a rub down and so forth? What happens?
Yeah.
I just wonder if this season we'll see a lot of soft muscle tissue injuries as a result of maybe less physical contact with the physio teams. So kind of a side of the game we wouldn't normally think about.
Yeah.
But what goes on away from the actual games, and how has the routine changed?
I
Interesting
wonder
times.
also, sorry, Ping, I was just going to say, I wonder also if there's any psychological effect on those players that are out there tonight. I mean, not just talking about West Ham's players, but you know, if they hadn't heard before, you would assume that at some point during the halftime interval, the whole City players would be notified that there's been this issue with COVID in West Ham. I just wonder if that sort of affects the players at all when they're going out there, perhaps wondering what we're wondering, why the game is being allowed to proceed when there's an obvious health risk there.
Well, you've got certainly one of the Hull players. I'm not sure if he's playing tonight. Is it Mangilis or something like that? He's a striker,
We'll check.
who allegedly is an
McGuinness.
asthmatic and has expressed serious concerns about COVID.
Josh McGuinness, yeah.
So clearly it's playing on somebody's mind somewhere. And we had the same issue, in the restart with Troy Deeney at Watford, where a family member had respiratory issues.
Yep.
And Troy Deeney was very concerned about being in an environment where he could potentially catch COVID. And undoubtedly, in my opinion, that affected Deeney's performances, which ultimately you could say when Watford sank, there were other factors, of course, but, this thing has been going on so long now that half the country is bored by it, but the other half is still terrified by it.
Yeah.
And if players have got legitimate concerns, they shouldn't be ignored,
Yeah, it's it's a very valid point. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Perhaps there'll be some developments during the second half. If not, I'm sure there'll be a statement made by the club after the game. So we'll keep an eye on that. No, coming away from the COVID situation and just going back to the match briefly, I just wanted to ask you, we did say earlier on in the stream that West Ham are fielding a very, very inexperienced back four out there today. We said that Balbuena, who doesn't normally start, of course, is a reserve currently. He's the experienced head.
Senior citizen.
We've got Johnson. Yeah, he's playing alongside Johnson, Elise, and of course the youngster at right back, Harrison Ashby. And how do we feel they've acquitted themselves so far? I mean, we haven't seen anything from Hull, but they've done a decent job, haven't they?
Yeah, they've acquitted themselves very well. They've not been tested, it's fair to say. Whilst you're on that point, you're talking about youngsters. I've actually been able to, whilst Pinky was talking about COVID just then, I've actually been able to confirm what our bench looks like. And,
okay. At last.
We only have 6 on the bench.
Okay.
And I can confirm that 2 of those are goalkeepers.
Right.
The bench is Martin and Trott. Martin coming in late. Then we have Bowen, Silva, Coventry, and Longello, and nobody else. We're one short on the bench. So that's with the exception there of, I mean, obviously Martin as a goalkeeper, and Bowen. That's a very, very, very young bench as well.
It is. I suppose at least Coventry has got a fair amount of experience. Could we be looking at another situation where now? What was the year? When was the year that Les Sealey played up front at Arsenal? Could we see that again? Do you think, Pinky? Perhaps David Martin going up front, replacing Seb Haller for the last 10 minutes.
Well, bizarrely, in the sort of my pre-match lineup that I posted a couple of days ago, I suggested putting Haller in the back line. Yeah, just on the basis that if a bid came in, he'd definitely accept it, even if it's to some dodgy club in Turkey, he'd be off. But an interesting slant, just to go back to the COVID briefly.
Yeah,
is of course we played Arsenal at the weekend.
Yes.
And who was it that we played just before lockdown?
Yeah.
And of course, Mikel Arteta, the original COVID carrier. It just makes you wonder, is there an issue at Arsenal Football Club, and where did our lads get it? You know, and perhaps it's a Diop. You never know. I mean, personally, I don't think he got close enough to an Arsenal player on Saturday to catch
I was
it,
waiting for that.
but you never know. You never know.
Yeah. And of course, David Moyes was, put in quarantine then, wasn't he? Because we all saw the pictures of him shaking hands with Arteta after the game. Though I should mention, Pinky, but before we carry on, the game has restarted. We're in the second half. West Ham are breaking forward. It's played down the right it could have been an own goal. Actually, the ball was played down the right for Ashby, who's put a low cross in, and it's sort of spooned off the foot of Hull defender, and it's gone out for. I think that might be the first corner of the game, Noam, actually.
I don't recall another one. Yeah. Do you want to do a quick time check? I'm on 46:43.
Exactly the same.
Ah, exactly. I've caught up with you then. Yeah.
Just
everyone watching us is about 5 minutes ahead, I suspect. But,
good stuff. Pinky a second behind us, so we're all pretty much. Pinky, do you want to talk us through the corner? Robert Snodgrass is about to step up.
Yeah, I mean, there's some distinct non-COVID social distancing going on, so
yes.
A little huddle of players all around the penalty spot,
all cuddling.
It's kind of like, left foot swing, cleared away. West Ham still in possession, played back. Launched again out wide, and the ball goes out for a throw-in. But a bit of a wasted opportunity that. But quite a bizarre defensive shape. But it just illustrated beautifully, those Hull players, they're there. I mean, you don't get much closer to other humans at the moment than they were. And what a scandal it would be if the Hull players got tested at the weekend and suddenly they're all positive, because it's all well and good for the Premier League clubs to pay for their testing for this competition. Are they getting tested, players at that level, week in, week out? Yeah. It's all a bit fuzzy, isn't it?
It is. I guess it answers my query earlier on, though, about whether Hull would be slightly concerned psychologically about getting too close to West Ham players. But we're just seeing Yarmolenko by the corner flag. He's played the ball back to Lanzini on the edge of the box. Looks for a little 1-2 with Anderson. It's cleared out, but no, and it's not. It was kind of semi-cleared. The ball fell to Sebastian Haller about 13 yards from goal, who swung a right foot at it. It looks to have taken a deflection off a Hull player. We're just going to see a replay because it's a West Ham corner, the second corner of the half. Anyway, I think it's definitely taken a touch. But we've got a corner from the left-hand side this time. West Ham playing from right to left as we look. No, Robert Snodgrass about to take it. Over to you.
Yep, Snodgrass is I think he's waiting for everything to settle down in the middle. He's taking it now. Ball swung out swinger, and it carries on swinging out. And Hull should have cleared that, but didn't. And the ball's gone out for a West Ham throw, which we're just going to take our time about taking at a moment. It was a bit of a poor corner. It was quite know what's happening here.
West Ham looked to have a throw in, didn't they? And the referee is having a word with Yarmolenko now.
Yeah, we're just simply waiting. He's having a word with Yarmolenko. They've obviously been having a go at each other.
I think that's the substitute, isn't it? Number 10, Honeyman.
Honeyman, yeah. I'm guessing the referees is bored with having had nothing to do and just decided there's some sort of coming together.
It's not that. Just before the corner, Yarmolenko did 2 pieces of outrageous showboating. And I think the refs just had a quiet word with him and said, look, wait till you get transferred to QPR. You can do that in the Championship every week, and the Hoops fans will love you, but not at West Ham, please. Yeah.
Manny Lanzini tries to play a little 1-2 with Ben Johnson, who tries to flick the ball through his legs, and I can only assume that Lanzini's been given offside there because it's a free kick awarded to Hull City. 5 minutes of the second half gone. West Ham United 2, Hull City 0. We have a question, Pinky. We've answered this one before, but this is somebody new, and I've completely lost it. No, here it is. Simon Leyland asks, why has the pink Palermo got a boomerang above his door? Pinky, tell Simon why you've got a boomerang above your door.
It has to go somewhere, and it just happens to be above the door. I mean, the reality is there's one above that door as well. It's a slightly different shape boomerang, but I don't have a single picture up in my house, nothing. Okay, that's the only kind of thing that breaks blank walls, I'm afraid.
Hull City are looking to get one back.
me.
Sorry, Pinky coming in, a cross coming in from the right. It's delivered to the back stick where it's headed over the bar, and Hull, that I think is actually their first effort on goal. The ball laid down the right from where it was delivered in by number 8, Dan Batty, played it across the box to, I'm not sure who that was actually at the far post.
Got underneath it.
Yeah, got up highest, but as Noam says, got slightly underneath it, nodded it over the bar. No trouble. It's still West Ham United 2, Hull City nil. Pinky, about the boomerangs once again.
Yeah, it's just got to go somewhere, and you know, I'm amazed that anyone's actually truly worried about it. You know, I'm quite bizarre. But side issue here now. Of course, if you sit in the posh seats at the London Stadium, you get the first 3 domestic cup games free as part of it. So I just wonder if this will be, by some miracle, if we go the distance in this competition, whether the club will categorise this as the second of our 3 domestic cup games. Yeah.
That remains to be seen. Of course, there's a conversation to be had about with the announcement today that the Premier League return, the planned return 1st of October for a certain number of supporters has been postponed for another 6 months, whether or not the club will have to issue refunds to those who paid season ticket fees. We're just moving back to tonight's game quickly. We've just seen Yarmolenko do some more of those outstanding step overs, 4 or 5 there, Pinky, in quick succession. It's almost as if he heard you a few moments ago, and he's cut inside and curled a shot over the bar. It remains 2-0, but Hull looking to break. Balbuena does some good defensive work to get up and win the ball. He's going to have to do some more here because the ball's been played over the top. He does well, hooks the ball away from goal with his while facing goal, but it's only as far as the Hull player. Hull retain possession 30 yards from goal. Looking to build again, a little 1-2 on the left from Hull, and Ashby does well, sticks out a leg as the player looks to go round him and regains possession. Jack Wilshere, dirty Jack, picks up the ball. Oh, he's just run past the player.
Oh, you absolute toe rag. I mean, you know,
this exhibition stuff from Wilshere.
Still got it.
4 players. It's just played a 1-2 with Lanzini. Lanzini, 30 yards from goal. There's a runner. It's Felipe Anderson. He's in space on the left. He's cut the ball back. Is there someone there? No, it was back for Lanzini. But the defender got there. Pinky, talk to me. Jack Wilshere, what about that? Ringing.
It started off with really a bit of miscontrol. So he's miscontrolled it with a heavy touch. He's then had to do his trademark lunging kind of tackle thing, which I'm convinced is one of the reasons he always ends up getting injured. But a little bit of overhead stuff. He gets the ball under control, danced around a player, a short pass to, I think it was Lanzini, who played it wide to Anderson. And so what started out a bit of poor control turned into a lovely move. And we did everything right. Even the pullback was headed in the direction of the penalty spot, but the whole defender got there first. So
there's another. We're just seeing Yarmolenko
and knocked behind by Hull for a West Ham corner. So West Ham piling on the pressure here again now. I think there's a third goal coming. There's a goal coming, so stay tuned.
Noam, we'll pass over to you for the corner, but a third goal surely is going to kill this off, isn't it?
Yeah. Yarmolenko's getting a lot of joy down that right-hand side. As once again, it's Lanzini's to take this corner, so it looks like it'll be right-footed and in-swinger, but we're hampered by the odd camera angle that the ball goes in, and it's headed out for, I think that's another corner. Yeah. There's a very odd camera angle that the stream uses for corners, where they focus on the person taking the corner, and we're seeing it again now. Look,
there's a yellow card being shown there, Noam. So I'm not quite sure who to. I think it's the number 17. Hull's number 17. I'm not quite sure what it's for. And it is a penalty. West Ham, I wondered what was happening there, because he awarded the... I mean, I think it was Yarmolenko went down in the box. The referee instantly showed a yellow card. West Ham looked like they were shaping up for a corner, but the ball's on the penalty spot. Yarmolenko is stepping up and he's preparing to take it. Yarmolenko moves towards the ball, strikes the ball to the left. It's 3-0 West Ham United, Pinky. Game over, surely. Yeah,
the game's been done a while, but, I didn't notice Yarmo go down, but Haller,
Haller went
in the
was
it
Haller?
somehow hit the dirt. Yeah, I think it was hilarious. And I actually thought it was an attempt to get his shorts dirty just so he could show the other players on full time. Look, I've put myself about a bit. It's one of those sorts of things. But I'm not clear as to the camera. Don't showed it the angle we were at. I saw him hit deck, so I don't know if it's giving him a little shove in the back or something.
Clearly, the referee was right on top of it. Yeah, I mean, when you look at, I'd like to see it again, obviously, because obviously I'm following the ball as it's gone out to see if it's gone for a corner, and as well spotted there. The very first thing that the referee did was pull out the yellow card for the challenge. So there was what's happened there. There were a couple of half-hearted whole protests, which didn't seem particularly. They seem like protests made for the sake of making a protest, if you like. Penalty, nicely dispatched, bottom left-hand corner of the goal, and 3-0. Yeah, I mean it was pretty much game over anyway. I mean Hull have had that one chance in what is now 57 minutes or so. They haven't really looked like troubling us, and it's a matter of now how interested are we. I'd like to see us go on and as
we've just seen. Sorry, no, can I just cut in there, because we've just seen number 17 Sean McLaughlin send Manuel Lanzini sprawling to the deck. He's gone right through the back of him. I'm amazed that the referee's not issued a card here, because the ball's gone up in the air. It's a header. Lanzini's risen, and it's one of those where the defender's gone straight through the back of him, and it looks to me like he's not even going for the ball there. It looks like
it's not. It's just there's no attempt at the ball there.
But that's Lanzini's up. That's the good news.
Yeah. But we've seen earlier on, haven't we, when Anderson was getting the treatment, that he'll give a foul, or in the case of Anderson, indicate that he spotted it and play advantage. But he doesn't seem over interested in protecting us. Ashby does well on the right here. We've won the ball back. Again, a lot coming down our right-hand side as far as Hull.
Another really late challenge gone in on Lanzini. Surely the cards. This is the substitute Honeyman, and that's about his 5th or 6th really late challenge that he's put in tonight. And Lanzini, the card is out at last, and there's no surprise there, because Honeyman, I don't know if something's happened between the two of them, but he did Lanzini Lanzini was done a few moments ago, and Honeyman's just gone straight through him. It's a shocking challenge, Pinky. What about that one?
It's an absolute shocker, and it's the sort of thing that professionals really shouldn't be doing to each other. It was a really poor challenge, and no attempt to go for the ball. He's just clattered our player, and I'm afraid. As good as Charlton were last week at not resorting to that kind of thing, Hull are bad this week. That's 5 or 6 times, and all you need is 2 or 3 of those to actually stick on one of our players, and never mind 6 players on the bench. We might only have 2 players on the bench on Sunday. It's poor form.
West Ham have just gone very, very close to scoring a 4th goal. The ball evaded everyone on the left. It's Anderson who played a clever little chip over the top looking for Lanzini. Lanzini chested it down, but it's just a bit of a heavy touch. It rolled out to Elise, who for some reason is playing like a left winger right now, who passed the ball back inside to Lanzini. Lanzini tried to backheel the ball into the goal from no more than 3 yards out, but the keeper managed to get a boot to it and keep it out. Hull City, are about to make a change. That's number 19 coming on for 22.
Wilkes and somebody with 2 names on the back of the shirt who's just run out of shot. Wilkes is off, is it? Wilkes, just see who's come off there. It's Wilkes is coming on. Maya and Lewis Potter are the 2 that are coming off. And
is it not Scott who's come off?
Is it Scott?
James Scott, number 11.
Oh, yeah, Scott. Sorry. Yeah, well spotted. Yeah. And Wilkes has replaced Scott, and Maya's replaced Lewis Potter's replaced Maya. Let's get it right around here.
Okay, so just trying to keep an eye on who's who out here. But yeah, so that is Hull have made 3 substitutions. 60 minutes gone. We are 2/3 of the way through. It's West Ham United 3, Hull sitting there. West Ham absolutely in full control of this game. I think the only concern now is whether West Ham will have 11 players left on the pitch by the end of this one, because there's some big meaty challenges going in from the Tigers tonight. We're just seeing West Ham break again. Lanzini, 25 yards from goal, rolls the ball outside to the left to Yarmolenko, breaks into the box. Yarmolenko uses his right foot, Pinky, and strikes it over the bar.
I mean, it was like doing a conversion for Hull KR. That was. I mean, we've just seen why he doesn't use his right foot, and you know, he should have used your left, Yarmo. I mean, what are you doing? You know, I mean, it's a shocking shot, but you know, I mean, this is just a case of, you know, less a case of being mauled by the Tigers, but kicked to death by the Tigers, isn't it tonight? It's not really very good from them.
No, it's as I said, there's been some meaty challenges, some unnecessary challenges given the status of the game so far. It's not like they're, you know, in with the shout as things stand, and just looks a little bit naughty. Yarmolenko, of course, is having a fantastic night tonight. 2 assists for both of the first half goals, and then he scored a penalty to make it 3-0 to West Ham. He's and here he goes again. He's looking to play. He's playing Lanzini over the top. Lanzini on the left, picks up the ball, turns back towards West Ham goal, rolls it inside to Snodgrass. Snodgrass goes between 2 players. He's going to look to lift the ball back in. He can't. He pulls it back to Lanzini. Lanzini sees a run from Wilshere, but opts not to pass to him. And there's a long ball gone to the far post. That's a really good pullback from Ashby. And Hilaire just kind of stands there when he could have, you know,
attack the ball, man.
Himself of it, yeah. Disappointing.
Yeah, Haller basically was waiting for the ball to come back, and he should have attacked that ball, and he'd have had a shot on goal. Anderson's just lost the ball there, where I'd like to have seen him put a little bit more into that challenge. Let's put it that way, but no harm done. We've retained possession. Ball's back with Randolph, who clears long.
Yeah, I was just trying to see when West Ham scored that third goal. I think it was on the hour mark, wasn't it? Just about 60 minutes. But it is 3-0 to West Ham United. Anyway, Hull now break on the right. It's played in from the right-hand side, and that is an absolutely desperately awful cross, Pinky, coming in for the right players, lining up in the centre, waiting for that cross. It's delivered well. It was, I think, Dan Batty was hoping to deliver it to the far post. It just sails over the goal and out for a goal kick. Desperate stuff. Pinky's stunned by how bad it was. I think that he
I'm just actually, my mind has drifted to, you know, obviously the talk of James Scott earlier and George Honeyman. You combine them, you end up with a James Honeyman Scott, who, of course, is the late guitarist from the Pretenders. So
Pretenders, yeah.
That's where I am mentally at the minute in this game. It's kind of like, it's such a dead rubber. I'm thinking about dead Pretenders guitarists. So
you don't get this on Sky. Beat me to it. There you go. 64 minutes gone, and we're approaching the final 25 minutes. West Ham United 3, Hull City near West Ham, sailing through, it would seem, to the 4th round of the Carabao Cup. Maybe there is a cup run on this year. Who knows? No, who are we facing in the next round? Assuming, of course, that it stays this way.
We've faced the winners of the Everton versus Fleetwood Town,
which takes place
as another. There's another unnecessary jump into a player from a Hull player. I think that's is that young? Yeah, Ashby's down. That flattened him. He's landed very awkwardly, and he's in a lot of trouble here.
Yeah. It's another yellow card. Brandon Fleming, who, as I said earlier, sounds like he should be fronting a rock band, is booked for that very, very late challenge on our young right back there, and he's kind of poleaxed him a bit, isn't he? I mean, it's a nasty, again, another nasty, unnecessary challenge.
There's no attempt to play the ball there. He's just jumped in to deliberately injure a professional. We're getting to the stage where yellow cards aren't enough for this sort of challenge. I mean, we've not got an awful lot on the bench, but we're now, it's such a nasty challenge. We're now looking at a whole team of medics are coming on. Yeah, he's clearly in a lot of discomfort. That's a disgraceful challenge. That's one of the ones that, had this been a Premier League game, the Stockley Park official, I suspect, would be inviting the referee to take another look on the screen at that. And we've got the buggy with the stretcher has turned up as well. I really
can we see where the injury is? No, I mean, it looked to me like it was sort of ribs, chest, somewhere around that area, but
yeah,
I don't know. Can you see where the where the pain appears to be?
I know he just jumped into his middle, and he's lying on his side, and I think they're trying to keep him as still as possible, but clearly, I mean, obviously surrounding, you can just see his legs, so he's moving his legs in agony.
Ashby, young Harrison Ashby, in some distress there. We're counting 8 medics surrounding him at the moment, 2 on a buggy. 6 more have gone rushing over to his aid there. So clearly, he, as I said, he's in some distress there. Pinky, that was a red card offence, wasn't it?
Yeah, and at what point does Alan Irvine wander across to the Hull manager and say, look, what are you doing here? What instructions have you given to your players? Because we played a very good Charlton Athletic team last week. The game was played in the right spirit, and Lee Bowyer, can hang his head high, knowing that his players went out and played the game the right way. Hull City tonight, particularly in the second half, I mean, the challenges are flying in, and it's like, are they deliberately trying to hurt West Ham United players? It's shocking stuff.
That's about the sixth really disgusting challenge we've seen in this game. Ashby is clearly not going to take any further part in this game, and it looks like Longello or Longello Mbuli, to give him his full surname, is ready to come on. But they're obviously taking Ashby's still on the floor. They're taking a lot of time.
They're getting the gas out now. We're seeing, I don't know if that's oxygen or what, but he's moving, so it's not as if he's out, and he's kind of he's beginning to sit up now. But he's grimacing as they pull him up from the deck into a seated position. As I said, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 medical staff surrounding at the moment. So some concern there for the youngster, who up until now has had a really decent game so far, Noam, I think.
Yeah, it's been a decent run out. He's looked. Oh, he's standing up, which is good. Thank heavens for that. As I say, he's clearly been. He's going off with oxygen. Don't make him walk all the way back. No, they're going to sit him on the buggy. But no, well played, young man. And as I say, thankfully, that looks as if it isn't quite as serious as it might have been. That's no thanks to the whole player, who really shouldn't be playing any further part in this game for that challenge.
Alan Taylor's left foot from the KUMB Forum says Ashby taken out in the air rugby style will be stretchered off. Debut for Longello, Johnson to right back. Vic Watson says, talking about the COVID issue, next game might not be happening. Wolf 359, going back to a few months ago, the boys taking oxygen doesn't look good, so unnecessary as well. So yes, and I think, Pinky, that's the general consensus here. It's just a nasty, spiteful one of them. It's like a Sunday league challenge, isn't it? When you've come out from a night out. You're still pissed from drunk, hungover from the night before. Your team's losing. It's raining. It's horrible. It's -5. You've just taken a ball in the thigh, and you decide to stick a opposing striker on the deck. It's one of them, isn't it?
Well, clearly you sound like you're a real expert at the art, Graham. So
I just pull you up there, Pinky, because Hull City have pulled one back. We've got a goal. We've got a goal for Hull City. 70 minutes gone. They have finally broke their deadlock. The ball, it's a long ball over to the right, and
from the keeper.
Yeah, and in fact, it's the young man who's just come on, Longello, who's beaten rather too easily to the ball by number 7, who is our substitute, Wilkes, I believe, who's just rolled the ball between Darren Randolph's legs, Pinky. So 3-1 to West Ham.
Yeah, I just wonder, was there a touch of handball from the whole lad? How would he play the ball forward to himself?
That's another one that wouldn't have been allowed in the Premier League. I think that would have been let's have a look at that. No VAR today, so it'll count. But unless he's the latest player to be fouled, just an ordinary foul, that one, nothing nasty. But disappointing not to keep the clean sheet. And basically it was a free kick was given at the other end, and the whole keeper, he raced to take it very, very quickly and aim it down towards that corner where Emmanuel or Manny had just come on, so he wasn't really sort of up to pace. Disappointed because the way Hull have played this game, I just want to go and see us really rub their noses in it in the last 20 minutes. Just it's a shame we haven't got anyone on the bench that we don't really want to don't want to pick, because you could send him on and like a John Moncur on the bench, just send him on and say, like, see Honeyman, go and take him out, go pick up your yellow, don't even mind if it's a red.
We've just seen Longhello get a little bit back there. Another ball almost identical to that one, which led to Hull's goal a minute or so ago. A 50, 60-yard ball delivered from the sort of left-back position to the right wing position, chested down by the goalscorer Wilkes, and Longhello has caught him sort of chest high, sent him to the deck, raised his hands in kind of mock, I didn't do anything, referee. But the free kick's been given 20 yards from goal. Darren Randolph is organising his wall, and Pinky is going to talk us through it.
Okay, so wall lining up. The refs marked the 10-yard line. Felipe Anderson giving them the benefit of his experience where to line up a wall, which I'm sure will be extensive. 2 Hull players stood over the ball. What are they going to do with this? Up goes the signal. It's an in-swinger, cleared away, headed back, and Randolph collects, and danger sorted. Absolutely no problem at all there for West Ham. But it's clear that Hull are deciding just to put diagonal balls in our left-hand corner, just to target whoever we've got down there and say, get up there, get a foul, try and win something. And it's really basic Sunday League football from Hull City. Shocking stuff from them in this half.
73 minutes gone. Longhello is now looking to break down the left-hand side. He plays the ball back to Felipe Anderson, touches it inside to Lanzini. Lanzini looks up, evades the challenge and plays a ball into nobody really, but Ben Johnson has managed to retrieve it and plays it back to Fabian Balbuena. Balbuena, just inside our own half, plays it long down the right, looking for Lanzini. He touches it back to Yarmolenko. Yarmolenko looks up. He's got an option inside of Jack Wilshere. Is he going to play it to him? No, he's gone far, switched it across the pitch to Longhello, who picks it up on the left. Longhello, 25 yards from goal, clips across in. It's found Lanzini. Lanzini unable to control it properly, catches it just underneath the chest, and it slips away from him, and it's cleared as Hull look to escape again. 73 and a half minutes gone. West Ham United 3, Hull City 1. West Ham have possession again. Jack Wilshere's been a bit quiet for the last 10 or 15 minutes. Looking to orchestrate things in the middle again. He plays it out to Hilaire, who's now on the edge of the box on the right-hand side. Hilaire, faced by 2 players, rolls the ball back between his legs, pulls it back to Lanzini. Lanzini, a little clever chip to Yarmolenko. Yarmolenko chips it down, pulls it back across the box, and there's no one there. A real chance for West Ham, but the chance hasn't gone quite yet. And the Hammers still have possession. It's with Rob Snodgrass, 25 yards from goal. Plays it out to Felipe Anderson. Anderson on the edge of the box, looks into the centre. Lanzini has it. He'll take a pop. He has a dig, draws back his right foot, shoots, and it's about 50 yards over the bar. No, stays 3-1.
Yep. Again, good approach play, but we haven't got our shooting boots from distance at the moment. Lanzini really should have done better with that. That was Yarmolenko's right foot, Pinky. And
it was worse. It was almost a competition to say, do you know what? your effort only just went over the bar. Mine's going over the stand. But you can understand it to some extent. One thing I did notice though, just a couple of minutes ago,
yes,
Lanzini had received the ball and Honeyman was steaming in on him, and then he suddenly remembered he'd got a yellow card already, and he pulled out of a challenge that quarter of an hour ago he'd have gone straight through, our lad. So bookings do work, and it kind of suggests to me the Hull players kind of know what they're doing. These challenges aren't just careless; they are tactical.
Yeah,
Honeyman, though, to be fair, Pinky, say yellow cards do work. Well, they work better if you give them at the earliest opportunity. Honeyman finally got punished for his third, fourth iffy challenge. which if the first one had been challenged and pulled up properly, would he have done second, third, and fourth? Maybe, maybe not. But if he had done second, third, and fourth, it'd have been going for his early socially distanced bath.
Yes, with his socially distanced bubbles as well. We're just seeing Hull looking to burst into the box on the left-hand side, looking to build again, but West Ham defend solidly and clear the danger for now. Anyway, 76 minutes gone. West Ham United 3, Hull City 1. Hull 30 yards from goal now, looking to run at West Ham's defence. Hull now into the box. The ball's played inside, but look who's there on the penalty spot to hoik the ball clear, Felipe Anderson. And he's actually found Sebastian Haller, who's bursting towards Hull's goal. He's in the penalty box now. He's got no support, but he has now, and it's unbelievable. It's Felipe Anderson, who's the only player in support. Anderson has the ball, 13 yards from goal. He's tried to curl one. It's taken a deflection, and it's out for a West Ham corner. Pinky, Felipe Anderson, 30 seconds ago, he was hiking the ball clear in our own box. And then he popped up, as I say, 30 seconds later as the only supporting player for Haller. Good stuff there from the Brazilian.
Absolutely. And I'm sure David Moyes, who, with the other two that tested positive and he went home, David, I'm sure, would have actually spent his £10, got his credit card out and been streaming this game on his telly at home. And, he'd have to admire the work rate there of Anderson. I mean, he's gone from box to box. Yeah. And, so sometimes, he gets criticised for work rate, but both last week and tonight, you couldn't fault him. You couldn't fault his attitude. So well done, Anderson.
A corner has come in from Rob Snodgrass on the right. It's instantly cleared out, but West Ham regain possession some 30 yards from goal. Yarmolenko 1-2s with Lanzini. Lanzini looks to play it in the box, but pulls it back onto his right foot. Haller has gone down under a challenge. West Ham are appealing for a penalty. Haller going down rather too easily, I think, for a big man there.
Yeah,
and nothing's
you're
given.
Not getting that.
No, never at all. But it's Yarmolenko's free on the right-hand side. A little step over, as has been his want all night, into Lanzini. Lanzini tries to play it through. Snodgrass has the shot from 25 yards. It's a fierce effort. It's gone through a sea of bodies, but the goalkeeper saves it quite comfortably. And it remains 3-1 to West Ham. 12 minutes left to play. Do we see any more goals coming here tonight?
Keeper's certainly got his tactic of when I get the ball, it's going straight up the other end as quickly as possible. That was the tactic that got them the goal. I think they're just showing again. Maybe no, that was just Snodgrass's shot. The Haller penalty instead. As Randolph makes a comfortable save. I don't quite know what happened there because they were showing us a replay, and we just saw Randolph going down make the save. The one man with the one camera didn't really pick up what was happening. He's a bit behind the game of cameraman today. But the Haller penalty incident is an interesting one because certainly the defender had his arm around his neck. Yeah. I mean, trouble is the modern way is that we've been so brainwashed into this. If there's contact, then you've got the right to go down thing, which is not in the laws of the game, but it's been used so often as a sort of an excuse for teams like Liverpool to be given penalties. And we're just seeing the replay now of the incident that we somehow missed earlier. Long diagonal ball into the box. It's a fairly weak header, and
it's Josh McGuinness with the header.
Yeah, Randolph comfortably saved it. It did come away from him, but there was no way that anybody was coming in. As a whole player's down injured, and we're playing on, quite rightly so. As Yarmolenko, I think, I'm not sure he played in there, but the Hull have cleared it. But for a second, it was Johnson there. For a second, I thought we might be stopping because a whole player had gone down clutching his leg or something. We didn't, and I'm glad. Well played. So,
the referee getting slightly berated there by a couple of the whole players for not calling the game to halt. But as you say, rightly so, the rules is the rules. And we've just seen another crunching challenge going on Ben Johnson. It's a fair one, but a little unnecessarily tough considering West Ham weren't really in a strong position there. A fairly straightforward challenge one would have thought would have been coming for that ball on the touchline, but he's gone into it with some gusto, as has been the case for the Tigers pretty much all night. West Ham looking to build another attack here. West Ham winning by 3 goals, leading by 3 goals to 1 as we enter the final 10 minutes of normal time. Hull are going to have to do something pretty miraculous now if they're going to get anything from this game or send it into penalties. We've just seen Jack Wilshere go through the back of a Hull player, just 10 yards into West Ham's half. Yeah,
that was a niggly, nasty challenge, and that was, I'm not likely to be picked on Saturday, so I've got carte blanche to have a little bit of a kick.
He went through the back of Honeyman. I mean, it was a targeted, tackle, should we say? And that's a lovely ball. It's not something we want to see West Ham players doing, but you sort of understand it. Anderson working hard to try and shut the Hull player down in his own corner. Ball goes out for a West Ham throw.
Lovely long ball from the back there that found Anderson. Anderson tried to find, I think it might have been Haller in the middle, but the ball got cut out. But lovely ball. And that's the way to get this, if we're going to get a fourth, is when Hull actually do sort of come forward, it's to split them with that sort of incisive ball like that.
Shots, just a couple of statistics for you, Noam. The shots, West Ham have created 15 shots so far tonight. We're just seeing Yarmolenko break into the box yet again, cuts inside, drops the shoulder once again, lays it back for Lanzini, who leaves it to Snodgrass. Snodgrass tries to curl one in the top corner, and it's fizzed over the bar for yet another Hull goal kick. I was just going to give you some statistics. Shots, West Ham have created 15 to Hull's 3. On target, West Ham 6 to Hull's 3. So that's a pretty good ratio for Hull. Every one of their shots on target so far, although they are losing by 3 goals to 1 at the moment. We've just seen once again a very dodgy shot from the live broadcast. We're watching a replay, and they've come back to the live game, and we see Darren Randolph rising to punch a ball out of air. Quite where it came from, we don't know because we haven't seen it. But the danger is averted anyway, and West Ham remain 3-1. Up. Are we going to see any more changes, do we think, Pinky? Another 7 minutes or so to go. West Ham, so far, we've had Longello come on for Ashby. I think that's our only change so far, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think we will. I think it'll be a case of hang on to the ball and we've won this game. Just try and avoid an injury, which means, just try and avoid contact with the whole player. I mean, it's Jack Wilshere in possession now. As Comfrey's looking up, plays the ball square. Ball now gone forward. Anderson again tried to flick it through to Haller. Haller in possession, and they're attacking down our right flank. Number 10, Honeyman, plays a good ball deep, and the whole player fails to collect, cleared by West Ham. But we're a little bit bogged here at the minute. We're playing the game in our half a bit more than we were in the first half, that's for sure. So ball now switched to the left for Hull City. Ball into the box, cleared by Valbuena. Yarmolenko retrieves and plays a lovely pass for Haller, who, didn't quite collect it. The whole player managed to put it inside. So West Ham throw deep in the Hull half.
6 minutes of normal time remaining. West Ham, as Pinky says, have the throw-in on the right-hand side. Ben Johnson with the ball now. He plays it back all the way to Fabian Balbuena, tonight's captain, who's done a pretty sterling job of marshalling his young assistants and troops in the West Ham defence there tonight. Darren Randolph now giving a rare chance to touch the ball. The ball's rolled back to him, and he plays it out to Jack Wilshere. Jack Wilshere, no, let's talk about Jack Wilshere quickly. I've been pretty, we always say you've got to judge it by the opposition, but I think both him, or Jack Wilshere and Manny Lanzini, have both been reasonably lively tonight, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, and I was wondering. I mean, given the sort of scarcity of resources on the bench, whisper it, we could be about to see Jack Wilshere complete a 90 minutes, and he's been all right. He's drifted in and out a little bit of the game, but when he's been in it, he's been generally okay. And he's been interested enough, as we saw a minute ago, to have a bit of a dig as a whole attack breaks down for offside. Not many offsides in this game so far today, but Lanzini's looked a little bit livelier. Again, we've always got to caveat that with the strength of the opposition, but Lanzini's looked better in this game than he did against Charlton, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely.
And Anderson's gone on from Charlton. He's clearly thought, well, the only way I'm going to get my way back into the first team is, but when I do get a chance, is to sort of like show I'm interested, and he's done, as I say, possibly even more so than last week, and we were praising him last week. This week, I mean, we've just seen that thing a few minutes ago where he was the one who made the clearance, and the next thing you know, he's the only one supporting Haller in the box. So as Wilshere loses it and then somehow gets it back.
The ball, Wilshere does lose it and wins it back, plays it out to Sebastian Haller, who's got a great chance to fire at the target. It's another one, Pinky, another one of those shots, 12, 13, 14 yards from goal that's ended up in, well, I mean, in a traditional football stadium, it probably would have ended up in Rosehead. In the Olympic Stadium, it probably doesn't even reach the stands, but another one of those.
Very much so. Funny enough, the thought did occur to me that maybe the bringing of the stand to the centre of the stand forward a bit, maybe the players have kind of lost their range. Remember when we actually moved the London Stadium, there was all the talk about the players couldn't, they had nowhere to actually aim for because it was so far away. And I wonder if actually bringing the stand has now confused one or two of them. But I think it's just more a case of that one or two of the players aren't playing enough football to really be at the top of their game. And Hull tonight have been no opposition at all. This is if you'd paid at the gate for this, realistically, you'd be asking for your money back on the way out. I mean, it's a going through the motions, nothing game, if I'm being honest here. Do you feel sorry for the sponsors? Maybe a bit. But this is the sort of game that none of the players on the pitch are interested in. Absolutely none of them.
We've just seen Fabian Balbuena make perhaps his first mistake of the evening, a long ball hoiked down the centre. He's headed inadvertently into the path of Honeyman, the substitute, who seems to have been everywhere for Hull City since coming on, and he's lashed it Haller-esque high and wide of the target. We're into the final 2 minutes of regulation time now. 88 minutes gone. West Ham United lead Hull City of League One, 3-1. The goals coming from Snodgrass in the 18th minute, from Haller in the 45th minute, and Yarmolenko in or around the 60th minute from the penalty spot. A comfortable evening so far for West Ham. Well, unless you're Harrison Ashby, who was taken off after a rather naughty challenge. And there's been a few of those as well throughout the game. A little bit unnecessary, we felt, from Hull City. But West Ham doing okay so far, still sort of standing. On the bench, we've only seen one substitution so far. That's partially because West Ham only have 6 substitutes on the bench tonight. 2 goalkeepers in David Martin and Nathan Trott. Jared Bowen, Zonde Silva, Connor Coventry also on the bench, waiting to be used. We don't expect to see any of those now. And of course, the news from earlier in the night that David Moyes, Issa Diop, and Josh Cullen all confirmed as having contracted coronavirus tonight. The 2 players there were due to start the game this evening, but pulled out of the starting lineup less than an hour before the match commenced. So, some interesting stuff. I'm sure we'll hear a lot more about that after the game. But I shall pass you over to Noam now. We're in the 90th minute. And we're just seeing Hull break. But Noam, you can take us in from here, please.
You're a second or two ahead of me again. But as I'm seeing this, Haller on the break, balls at the end of the box, and it's a good save. It's hit straight at Randolph, to be fair, but a half decent chance for Hull. But Randolph was, as I say, it was hit at him, and he gathered fairly comfortably. I'm just waiting to find out how much stoppage we got. There'll be a fair bit for the injury to Ashby. I would wager. As the ball breaks through to Lanzini, who's trying to keep possession, but gets. Well, I thought it was fouled there, but maybe not. Again, Hull's tactic is to aim this ball long. Good tackle, good strong tackle there from Was that Alessi there?
I think it was, yeah. Fantastic. We've just seen there's a chance for 4 now, and it's going to be 4-0. Sebastian Hallera's added a second. No, I'll just take that off you there because I'm a few seconds ahead. The ball was played into the box. Hallera found space, took his time, a little bit of calmness from the big French striker who just touched the ball to the side of Hull City goalkeeper George Long and rolled the ball into the empty net to complete what's going to be a 4-1 win for West Ham. Pinky, fourth goal for West Ham.
Yeah, I mean, there's good goal, and Haller played onside by some poor defending by Hull, but he did what he had to do. He's got a nice simple, what amounted to a simple tap in really for him. But 4-1. Yeah, easily a reflection on the balance of the game, no doubt about that. On a night, frankly, is shame too strong a word for Hull City? If I was Alan Irvine, I would be going to see the Hull manager on full time and just say your players have been a disgrace tonight. With one or two of them have flown into tackles that they really didn't need to. If you're going to turn up and want to try and win the game, well, run around a bit more. Don't just try and kick the opposition off the park. So, but a straightforward win, and again, someone's having a little niggle at Lanzini again there, and it's to what end? It's shocking stuff from Hull.
It could be 5 now, and in fact, sorry, West Ham have just scored a 5th.
It's fine. It's fine.
Felipe Anderson, a quick free kick. Sorry, Pinky, a quick free kick taken on the left-hand side, rolled out wide to Felipe Anderson. He's looked up into the box, played a low ball into the centre to Andrei Yarmolenko. Yarmolenko's already scored from the box and had 2 assists tonight, of course. Picked his spot on the right-hand side of the net and just curled one into the far corner from about 14 yards out with his left foot, of course. And it's West Ham United 5, Nome, Hull City 1. 2 goals in a minute for the Hammers.
There's a bit of poetic justice about there. That goal came from a quite totally pointless little tap at Lanzini's heels, and Lanzini had the presence of mind to put the ball down, look up, and see the run down the left from Anderson. I was going to say, but since the goals are coming thick and fast, I didn't get a chance to. I think it was Alessi where the previous goal, the 4th. Alessi's challenged for that, where he got his foot in, and that's where it all started. So well played, the young lad. We haven't mentioned him much today. He's quietly gone about his business, and he's been good and solid. And if he gets a sort of half assist for that because he started the move off, then fair play.
No. Who was? Remind me. Was it? I'm thinking Jorginho, but I'm thinking that's probably wrong. The Bobby Moore challenge in the 1970 World Cup group game against Brazil.
Jorginho. Yeah, Jorginho was sort of like giving him the eyes and doing the flick over. Bobby Moore just sort of, when you finish, mate, and then just, I hesitate to say it was as good as that. Quite apart from anything else, the quality of the opposition, but it was of that ilk. Yeah,
very similar. We are approaching the final minute of the 5 added on at the end of full time here. It's West Ham United 5. West Ham United 5, Hull City 1. If anyone can remember the last time West Ham scored 5 in a competitive match, please let me know. Or if you're on the YouTube stream, I'm sure it's fairly recent, but the mind's gone blank right now. But if you can remember, let us know. Thank you.
Let me say Macclesfield, surely, yeah.
Yeah, it would have been in this competition, wouldn't it? Yeah, when who debuted? Was that Dean Garner?
Dean Garner.
Of course,
Dean Garner played in that one.
When we put 8 past a hapless Macclesfield that night. We're in the final throes of the 95 minutes we're seeing now. West Ham rolling to a comfortable victory. Is there time for another one? Who knows? About 25 seconds left. It's a free kick. Yarmolenko's penalised for a challenge. He's had a bit of a ding-dong, hasn't he, all night, Pinky, with the Hull's defence, hasn't he, Yarmo?
Yeah, I mean... the good news for Yarmo, if he wanted to carry on playing for a number of years, he just knows he could drop a division and look a really good footballer. Touch of the Chris Waddles about him in that sense. Chris Waddle at the end of his career, when he dropped down to playing for Bradford and the like, and was miles better than anybody else on the park just by dropping down one division. And I think Yarmolenko's that kind of player as well. He'll look a real flash boy in the championship. And I'm guessing QPR at some point, the sort of club that would sign him up. So tonight, he's done plenty of step overs, flicks and tricks. And it's the sort of thing that the opposition players won't like, because it's kind of like, yeah, we know you're better than me, mate. If you do it again, you're getting one right above the knee. But 5-1, yeah, we've stuffed them. We've absolutely stuffed them. And for me, it's a night of shame for Hull City, because they've really let themselves down there. They really have. It's awful, awful stuff from them. Unnecessary, niggly challenges, fouls, and what have you. And it's the sort of thing, when our players get back into the dressing room, they'll have a few unpleasant choice words to say about the opponents tonight. And rubbish, Hull City, absolute rubbish.
The final whistle has blown. The full-time whistle coming after 95 minutes and 8 seconds. So just 8 seconds added on to the 5 minutes that were added on at the end of 90 minutes. And West Ham, comfortable victors here in the third round of the Carabao Cup. We are marching on to the next round. And we will find out soon enough who we're... I think that's tomorrow night, isn't it, known that tie?
Everton versus Fleetwood Town, yeah.
So
I was musing earlier on about how Pinky was going to get Fleetwood Mac into that if they get through, having gone through the Pretenders today. Well, we'll have to work on that, see who comes through of the Everton tie. Yeah, good performance. A number of pleasing aspects to it, not least the fact that when the challenges were flying through, we kept our heads by and large.
Yeah.
It was a case of at the end there were a couple of, Yarmolenko sort of put in a niggly one, and Wilshere towards the end thought, I'll have a little dig here just because I can. But by and large, we kept our heads, and given some of the stuff that was going on there, it would have been very easy to react, which I'm guessing it kind of probably was the point of the exercise from Hull's point of view in any case. 5-1. Fair reflection of the game, really. Anything 5 and above, I always think of as rubbing the opponent's noses in it. So I'm quite happy with that. Yeah, well played, guys. Well played.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So, yeah, 2 very comfortable victories for West Ham in the Carabao Cup so far this year. Just a few stats before we move on to some other bits and bobs. Full-time statistics: possession, West Ham 62% to Hull City's 38. West Ham 19 shots in total with 8 on target. Hull City mustered just 5 shots with 4 on target. West Ham 3 clear-cut chances to Hull's none. The crosses statistic bettered slightly for West Ham. Didn't get a cross in prior to the half-time end, although neither did Hull. West Ham 4 out of 14 successful crosses in the end, compared to Hull's 2 out of 12. West Ham 10 out of 15 successful dribbles to Hull's 5 out of 11. 4 corners to West Ham, 1 to Hull, and 2 offsides against West Ham and 1 against Hull. Tackles won. West Ham won 71% of their tackles, and Hull just 53%. And interceptions, West Ham with 15 interceptions to Hull's 11. Aerial duels won, 50% each across the board there. So passing accuracy, if you're interested, West Ham 83% passing accuracy overall compared to Hull City's 74%. 77% of the passes in the attacking third were accurate also for West Ham, who produced 16 key passes in the game to Hull City's 3. A question that Gavin McGrath asked a little bit earlier, gentlemen, before the full-time whistle, which we can come to now. He asked, who are your top 3 players, or who were your top 3 players in the game? Please not lumbering lazy Haller, he says, for another League One tap-in. Pinky, I'll come to you first. Your best 3 players in a West Ham shirt tonight, please.
On what I saw tonight, I'd say Anderson's certainly in there. Lanzini had an okay game, I think it's fair to say. Beyond that, I'm struggling. I mean, the young lad, at least he did okay. So you could say, well, he certainly didn't let himself down. But not really many standouts. 3 would be a stretch. So for me, it's Anderson and Lanzini tonight probably did the most for me.
Okay, good stuff. No, what about you? Could you pick 3 out of the 11 or 12 that we saw on show
Yeah,
tonight?
Anderson definitely. I'd give a good. Yeah, Lanzini was improved. Definitely improved.
Yeah.
I'd give a good shout out to Alessi. He didn't catch the eye as in terms of being spectacular.
Yeah.
But there were a couple of times where there were a couple of very good tackles, and his part in that 4th goal can't be underestimated.
Yeah.
Perfect timing, and let's give a shout out to one of the youngsters. So yeah, I'll go for those 3. Pinky notwithstanding, maybe an honourable 4th to Yarmolenko. For at least looking annoyed with the opposition.
Well, I mean, I was going to say that it probably would be a little bit harsh, wouldn't it, not to include him, given that he's created or got 2 assists and 2 goals, regardless of the fact he probably could have had 10 goals. Pinky's nodding his head in disagreement down there.
There's a touch of the flat track fully about him, though. You know, I mean, and it's one of the things that annoys with the Yarmolenko. Doing all these sort of, the step overs and the flashy stuff against league or opposition. That's all well and good. But actually, it's tracking your man in the Premier League. It actually wins your team some points, and that's classic showreel football from Yarmo tonight. My agent will put a nice little spliced YouTube clip together, and I'll look brilliant against Hull City. It's one of those. So he doesn't get many positives from me tonight. I'd want more from him. I'd want more from Haller as well. These are supposedly top draw players, and they're not completely bossing it. And Haller in particular is just, you've got to do more. You've got to do more. It really, I struggle to understand how we got to a 45 million euro fee for him. What was Pellegrini looking at that we haven't seen? I'm really struggling with it. No, I'm going off on one a bit here, but it troubles me. It troubles me. It's like the club record signing.
Yeah,
he isn't even bossing it against Hull City. It's not about scoring. It's about dominating. It's about putting yourself about. It's about dragging defenders out of position, creating space for others. And he's not doing nearly enough. He's not working nearly hard enough.
Yeah. Yes, you can see the difference, can't you, between, credit where it's due. He scored twice tonight, two recently when he was given an opportunity to play last week. But let's come back to that in just a second, gentlemen, because I think there's a discussion to be had there about Haller. Quickly, just to all the guys who are watching currently via our live stream on YouTube, thank you for supporting the channel tonight and KUMB and joining us for tonight's live stream. Let us know who you think was your man of the match tonight, or your outstanding 2 or 3 players. I'd just like to add a word to what we've already said. To young Harrison Ashby, who I thought had a really decent game, made a lot of foraging runs down the right flank, put some useful crosses in during the game until he was, of course, cruelly wiped out, by that pretty horrendous challenge in the second half there by Honeyman, I think it was, wasn't it? But I thought he had a really good game tonight. Yes, do let us know. Do let us know what you think anyway of tonight's game. Mandy Gould says Pellegrini was looking at Gomez and got offered Haller. Interesting one. Trodge says it was the Yarma show tonight. Yarma and Lanzini for me. And with regards to Anderson, he says Anderson's decision making is poor, apart from when we went 3 goals up. Interesting comments, but thank you, Trodge, for letting us know what you think. As I say, let us know what you think. West Ham Fan TV, our friends over at our fellow Hammers channel there. Good to see you on the stream, guys. Have gone for, now I don't know if that's Nicky or one of the other guys, but good to see you anyway. They've gone for Yarma, Ashby, and Haller. So good stuff. I mean, it's good to see. I think it's good, regardless, to see several names coming up as possible man of the match nominees. That's good. No, let's get back to Haller quickly for a minute. 2 goals against tonight, 2 goals last week.
Yeah.
But Pinky's still not happy with his contribution, and I understand completely where Pinky's coming from. Do you know what he kind of reminds me of a little bit? Freddie Canute, that kind of languid sort of not really giving a toss sort of style, that kind of Mardy looking appearance. Pinky's nodding his head, so it looks like we're in agreement on that one. But yeah, it's like when it comes to the crunch, he's there to put the ball in the back of the net, no problem. He's a great finisher, but the rest of the time when you need him to to put an effort in, make himself available, make those runs off the ball, you're not seeing it so much. But how did you see it tonight, Noam? What was your opinion on Haller's performance?
Just say one thing before we move on to Haller.
Yes.
Somebody I think ought to get a mention on here. And I've lost the thing on the YouTube. I found it. Special mention to the chap called Ariel Mutos, who's firmly of the opinion that Balbuena should play in the Premier League, adding, "I'm from Paraguay." So I spotted that, and that needs a mention. So fair play. Moving on to Haller. Yeah. Up until the point that he actually scored, the Canute comparison is a very, very valid one. Okay. Canute always looked like he was so fed up to be wherever he was.
Yep.
And what we'd seen up until the point that Haller scored was lots of sulking, lots of scowling, lots of pointing at people when the ball didn't come to him, sometimes justified, sometimes not. Mm-hmm. But he changed a little once he had scored, and the goal celebration, he stood there and scowled for a few seconds, then burst into to a smile, which made me wonder if he had toothache or something, because so rarely do we see him smile. He was a little bit better after he'd scored and looked a little bit more interested, but the problem is you're not always going to be playing against Hull City. And if he's not in the sort of scoring mood and he's not scored up to 75 minutes into a game, then he's still going to be scowling and not putting himself about and not getting interest. And Pete is quite right. He needs to be doing more in this sort of game. You can't really call him a flat track bully because he hasn't done enough bullying. And it's Hull City. I want to see him be a flat track bully. Mm-hmm. And at the moment, he's just sort of, he's not so much a bully, more a bit of an irritant. Okay. And I want to see more from him.
Okay.
If I mentioned Yarmolenko, Pinky would go off on one. One point I would pick up on what Pinky said, like, why did Pellegrini think that he's a £45 million player? Well, at the moment, the way we're paying, he's not, is he? It's whatever we paid for him so far. So I believe we've been told in no uncertain terms by FIFA that we've got to make sure that final payment's made whenever it's due. But quite agree. Can't argue with anything that's been said about Haller. Need more from him.
Playing devil's advocate for just a moment here, Pinky. Sebastian Haller, 2 goals against Charlton last week, 2 goals tonight against Hull City. What more can he do to force his way into David Moyes' plans for a place in the starting 11?
Run.
Okay, that's a good start. Which is kind of like when Moyes version 1 turned up and we had the Arnie situation. Yeah,
and he was very clear. What does Arnie have to do? Well, he's got to run.
Yeah,
and the same is true of Sebastian Haller. He's got to move. The problem you get with these games is two goals against Hull, 2 goals against Charlton. Yeah, it's not about the goals against these teams. It's about the work rate, the application, the ability to bring others into play, the ability to actually dominate your opponents, where your opponents are leaving the field and they're going, bloody hell, thank God we don't have to play him every week. Yeah, he's not doing that. Just sticking the ball in the net against these sort of opponents, he's always going to do that. That's not the problem. Mm-hmm. The problem is he's not working hard enough. He's not putting himself about enough. And it's kind of like he's just drifting aimlessly through games. I'm not even sure he knows what he's supposed to be doing. you know, it's kind of like I remember, you know, years ago when Bobby Robson had Alan Shearer at Newcastle, and Shearer had a bit of a run of games where he hadn't been scoring, you know, and all Robson did was turn him round. He said, you know, tell you what, just turn yourself 180 degrees and face the other way, kind of thing. With Haller, I'm looking at a player who doesn't seem to know what his job is.
Yeah.
And can we teach him at his age? I'm not sure we can. You know, and if people think I'm being a bit harsh on him, I'm sorry, but it isn't about the goals when you're playing Charlton and Hull. It's about your performance, and he's not performing enough for me. And would I pick him on Sunday? No, because we saw against Arsenal, Mikel Antonio, in where it hurts, getting his boot on the end of something and saying, there's a goal. That's what you need to do. And if you can't do it against Hull and Charlton, you ain't doing it against Wolverhampton Wanderers. So for me tonight, Haller, 2 goals, but you're on the bench on Sunday, mate. You know, it's that simple.
Not enough. Not enough, says Pinky. Let us know what you think. Is Pinky being too harsh on Sebastian Haller? 4 goals in his last 2 appearances for West Ham United. Okay, it's against League One teams, but you know, as you may argue, that's all you can do as a striker is put the ball in the back of the net. No, says Pinky. It's about more than that, especially in games like this. You need to show more. You need to show willing. You need to show determination. And he says it wasn't there from Sebastian Haller tonight. So let us know. Let us know what you think. Gavin McGrath. Hi, Gavin. Good to see you on the stream. Says when we're playing League One teams, goals are not relevant. Agreeing, presumably, what Pinky's saying there. Work rate is. When playing top flight teams, we don't see a damn thing. So, Gavin, definitely in agreement with you there, Pinky. Mandy Gould says Defoe, talking about Jermaine Defoe at Haller's age would have had 4 goals there tonight. And Trodge says it made me laugh when Haller almost pressed in the second half and moaned at everybody else when it was the first time he'd done it all match. I think we picked up on that, didn't we, in the stream when he had a little moan. Frenchie, hi Frenchie, says, I agree he needs to up his movement, but in fairness, he needs to play as a front 2, part of a front 2, to be completely effective. He doesn't suit being a spearhead. So, you know, something in his defence there. We know that he wasn't particularly employed often at Frankfurt, or if ever, in a sole striker's role. He plays a front 3, of course, occasionally, but lots of people believe that he needs a bit of support for West Ham. So we shall see. We are joined also in the YouTube chat by one of our own, our Rio, who unfortunately couldn't make it tonight because he's been hosting a quiz at the local pub. That sounds like an excuse to me, but you never know. I did ask Rio how he got, and he said I was hosting and have caused grief by making it too hard. So perhaps we'll see him back on the stream next week for the next round of the Carabao Cup when West Ham play against Everton or Fleetwood. Of course, that opponent to be determined tomorrow when their tie takes place. No, Everton are at home. Is that correct? It's been played at Goodison Park? Yeah. Okay. Good stuff.
So, I mean, Everton, you especially they're playing quite well at the moment. You'd fancy them for that. But, of course, it's the League Cup, so you'd expect lots of changes as well. So I wouldn't completely write Fleetwood off, of course, and which will, if Fleetwood were to win, of course, it would see us having to go to Highbury, which is what their ground's called, which confuses the hell out of me whenever it comes up on the telly. So let's go over to Highbury. Well, let's do some flats there now.
I'd imagine they probably make more noise there than its namesake used to.
yeah.
Over the years, but. Green Stuart or Stuart Green, I'm not sure which way around it. He says 2 goals and he still gets stick. I think that's harsh on Haller. So someone coming from the opposite angle. French also says major positive tonight was Lanzini and the young Alessi. I thought the 2 were excellent, which of course was touched upon by the team here. No, you were just going to interject there.
Yeah, I mean, okay, scored 2 goals, and but you know, we've got to take into account the quality of the opposition. If he plays like that against Wolves, if he played like that against Arsenal, for example, do you think he'd have had 2 goals? I think that's a rhetorical question, really. I don't think anybody would say yes to that. And he's basically given 2 goals effectively on a plate in each of the last 2 games. The goal we scored against Arsenal, near post cross, Antonio's busted a gut to get to that first to put it in.
Yep.
Do you see Haller making that run, taking that chance, trying to put himself into that position? If you do, fine. I just don't see him doing that. I didn't see him do that tonight. And we've got to realise that the League Cup is a different team. It's 2 different teams.
Yep.
And if he wants to make the step up to the Premier League, I think he's got to show more in the League Cup than he did tonight, I'm afraid, and last week.
Okay,
my opinion. I mean, we've all got one. So.
Well, that's fair enough. That's what it's all about. It's we like to hear from everyone's viewpoint. Nobody's necessarily right. There's always an argument to be made for and against. So it's always good to hear what everyone's got to say. Stuart Donnell says, "Hey, Pinky, we can hardly see you, pal." I don't know if it's because Pinky's low down the screen or whether it's dark.
I would point out that's not a complaint.
Pinky's
it's a family show, so I won't come back with my witty reports. Okay.
Gavin McGrath, Pinky.
No, I mean, just to go back to our good friend Sebastian there.
Yeah.
He'll be in the shower now. He'll be through the shower. He'll be in his taxi heading home to his flat, probably in Docklands or wherever he lives. He'll go in, he'll see the missus, and she'll say, "How did you get on?" And he'll say, "What?" The game, he'll have forgotten about it already. That's how disinterested he seems. And Luton Town have got a player called James Collins. It looks nothing like our James Collins, but there you go. But that's the great shame with me, because when Haller first arrived, I thought there was a real player in there.
Yep.
His first 2 or 3 games, I actually made the comment, we've got the real deal here, because he was getting himself stuck, put about. He was getting stuck in. And we haven't seen that since. And it's kind of like, what happened to the Haller of the first couple of matches? And he just seems to have disappeared. And it's kind of like very, very strange. As for the payment to Eintracht, UEFA have stuck the boot in. And it's interesting, if you look at the dispute resolution chamber part of the UEFA website, I'm keeping an eye out for when the ruling actually is posted up, because you go through them and all the ones that involve the Premier League, it all gets disguised in things like player A, who is on X number of thousand per week and all the rest of it. I'm kind of hoping that we get to see the full sordid details of the contractual agreement between West Ham and Eintracht, because once it goes to dispute, if it was a genuine contract dispute, there should have been a resolution and it should be published. So I'll just be waiting to see whether or not anything appears on the UEFA website.
I think it's FIFA responsible for the international transfers, though, Pinky. It might be on the FIFA one.
FIFA. Yeah, FIFA.
Yeah, all right.
Sorry, right, it's the FIFA one. Sorry.
But it'd be interesting to see. I mean, it's certainly. Even still recently, even as recent as last week, there were suggestions that the latest fee hadn't been paid and was still outstanding, despite West Ham having sold Grady Diangana and rumours that some of that fee was being used to pay that off. But very interesting, Pinky. We'll of course keep a close eye on that one and just see what transpires, because I'm sure there's a little more to come out about that transfer than we've seen yet. Another comment for Pinky. Gavin McGrath once again says, "I love Pinky's analysis. He agrees 100% on paycheck collecting Sebastian Haller." So someone else who also feels that he hasn't quite done enough to demand a place in next week's team. That is, of course, if this weekend's game goes ahead against Wolves, because there was the rather disturbing revelation tonight that David Moyes, Issa Diop and Josh Cullen, who were at the ground tonight, especially the latter two who are due to start the game tonight, had been pulled out of the squad and sent home or sent away from the ground because it had been discovered that they had contracted coronavirus, which is rather worrying. And of course, We raised the issue earlier in the evening of whether or not the game should have gone ahead with the, that revelation having just been made. But someone else did point out that presumably the rest of the players had also been tested and would therefore have shown up as, not being infected in some way. But of course, we'll see what happens about that. And, I'm sure there's more to come. We'll come back to that story in a wee while. Just a couple more comments from Noam. I don't know if you can dive into the match thread on the KUMB forum for us.
If you give me a second, yeah.
While I'm just going to take a quick look at YouTube and just see what people are saying there, and then I'll come to you in just a minute to see what the general view is over on the KUMB forum.
Give my ancient computer a few minutes to catch up with stuff.
No problem.
A great comment from Ace Face in there.
Yep.
He just said the great Victor Obina would be proud of most of the shooting tonight. Yeah, and to be fair, that absolutely nails it. That absolutely nails it, because what you've got there, I mean, who could possibly forget the season of Obina doing high wine handsome every 2 minutes from 30 yards? So yeah, I think well done, Ace Face. You've called it right there.
Could I update everybody on the COVID-19 situation?
Yes, please do. Know.
Yeah, I have. The BBC now have a fuller, fuller story posted up. So, which I'll just give it to you straight out of that. So, as earlier on, the Premier League club were informed of positive tests while preparing for Tuesday's League Cup tie against Hull City at the London Stadium. Moyes, Diop, and Cullen will now be required to self-isolate. The manager and both players immediately left the stadium and have returned home, said a club statement. West Ham said the three men were all asymptomatic, and assistant manager Alan Irvine took charge of the Hull match, which both Diop and Cullen were due to start. Public Health England guidelines state that those with COVID-19 should self-isolate for at least 10 days, meaning that Moyes, Diop and Cullen will not be able to attend training or the league game against Wolverhampton Wanderers on 27th of September. BBC Radio 5 Live's John Southall said that the trio travelled to the ground with the squad in 2 or 3 separate coaches. They say they all socially distanced the squad from when they met up and throughout the journey. As soon as they arrived, the results from the tests done yesterday came through, and the 2 players and the manager were immediately isolated in separate rooms and left the ground very quickly. West Ham say that they're satisfied nobody else in the squad needs to self-isolate, and that is why today's game went ahead. The news comes after Leyton Orient versus Tottenham Hotspur in the League Cup third round on Tuesday was called off because a number of the home players had contracted coronavirus. It came on the day the government announced a raft of new coronavirus restrictions for England, which could last for up to 6 months. As part of the stricter rules, the Prime Minister has confirmed that plans for fans to return to watch live sport events in England from 1st of October will not go ahead. Sports bodies have now been told not to expect spectators at stadiums and venues until the end of March at the earliest. So that's the up-to-date comment from the BBC. So to whom thanks. Thanks, Lou. That's my other half works with them. And,
so there it is. So so the tests, I think you said were conducted yesterday.
Yesterday,
is that correct? No, taken yesterday, and the results discovered today. Obviously, at the last minute, and I guess that will leave question marks as to why they allowed David Moyes and the players to travel to the stadium with the rest of the squad before determining those results. You wonder if there was perhaps some sort of cock up, having taken place there. That you're
going to assume that they're negative until the test results arrive, and test results only seem to have arrived at when everybody had got to the stadium.
Yeah. I just we'll see. We'll keep an eye on that one anyway, just to see what arises from it. But going back briefly to Victor Obina, who Pinky spoke about, I can't find it, but there was a story some years ago while he was at the club, and I'm fairly certain that it stated that he'd had the most shots out of any player in the Premier League at that time, and I think 99% of them were off target or something like that. It was quite ridiculous. I can't find a specific story, but I did find a mention of him in a story that was entitled one of my favourite news item titles that we ever did on KUMB, which was "Slang Wanger Sully Slams Slackers." And if you don't know what a slang wanger is, have a little look on online now, and you shall see. It's not particularly rude, but I just enjoyed the word anyway. Noam's going to take us into the KUMB Forum match thread for a few comments in just a moment. I'm just going to have a quick look at YouTube before we do that. Gavin McGrath, who's been with us all night, says, Anderson must start. It's a crime that our best player is switched on and yet relegated to the bench. Rio, who our colleague who can't be with us tonight, of course, says that he saw the first half, an unnervingly comfortable win against lower league opposition. I agree, Haller needs assistance. He thrived in an entertaining Frankfurt side, and then with Jovic in a pair. It's French, he says, he's 100% improved. But would you drop Antonio? I feel Antonio and Haller link so well and have chemistry. It's harsh to say Yarmolenko doesn't start, but then you can't argue with what Bowen brings, which again is fair enough. Noam, the KUMB Forum match thread, not the busiest one tonight. Of course, it never is when West Ham are winning. We only see reams and reams of posts when we're suffering an unexpected defeat or going down heavily or something. But what are people saying in there tonight?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much reflecting what we're saying. I always have trouble when I try to pronounce this, so apologies. Il Martello di Genovese. Hull thrashed, and now their fans aren't happy the game's gone ahead. We've been called a disgrace and other things. Yeah, I mean, we're being called a disgrace by a team that's just come to kick us off the park. We'll have more players nursing bruises than we've got suffering from coronavirus. Let's put it that way. There was another interesting comment, which a rugby analysis came in. John wrote, reminds me of the British and Irish Lions. Decent midweek team against weaker opponents, but the weekends are a bit more tricky. And Rushi puts the very apposite comment that, that midweek team is the job of, and I'll say, messing you up as much as possible for the weekend game. The rugby analogy is quite apposite, given I can remember at least one rugby tackle on Wilshire. As I say, I've only just got on here because of the slowness of my connections around here. Paolo Paul, hard to judge much from a game against League One opposition, but it feels like we might as well go with that front four of the weekend to see what happens. Interesting comment there. The follow-up comments, Gary P says, what, and drop Bowen and Antonio. And that is the point. Would you drop Antonio and Bowen for Haller, who, as we said, has hardly sort of put the world to rights in his last two appearances? More comprehensive wind up here from Status Kev. Good result, and it could have been more with better finishing. Didn't look like a reserve team at all, but essentially that's what it was. I know it was only Hull, but how many times have we ballsed up against lower teams? Particularly impressed with the youngsters Alessi and Ashby tonight. Excellent performances. Decent outing for Wilshire as well. I think that Lanzini, Anderson, Yarmolenko, Haller and Snodgrass are beginning to knock at the door, although our upcoming fixtures don't really seem the ones to go gung-ho. An on-form Lanzini is just what we need at the moment for a bit of a spark. Whether he can get back to his best is another thing, but the signs were there tonight. That's a fairly good comprehensive roundup.
Okay. Good stuff.
If you want to take over, I'll go and look at some of the earlier comments.
Okay, nice. Thank you, No. There's a really good point, actually, Pinky, that came out of that. And I think, we're all long in the tooth enough to have seen West Ham suffer a series of embarrassing defeats in the cup competitions against lower league teams. Well, I mean that extends to Europe, doesn't it? Look at Astragugu, of course, as they were christened a couple of years ago. But of course, as I say, we've seen it time and time again in the cups, haven't we, over the years? And of course, recently, Wimbledon and Oxford last year. But this is much better, isn't it? I mean, this is what we should be seeing from a Premier League team: is a comprehensive victories against teams like Charlton and tonight Hull City.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, you can only beat what's in front of you.
Yep.
So you know, we can debate individual performances and all the rest of it, but the reality is the club have sent out a team 2 weeks running in the more junior cup competition. We've had 2 convincing wins, using pretty much a second string, albeit a very expensive second string. So you say it's good stuff. You know, the reality is, you know, it's likely to be Everton that we face in the next round. I think you might see an altogether different standard required in that tie if it does turn out to be Everton. And, you know, we're more like that. That'll be a better yardstick where our second string ranks against Everton's probably second string, you would think. Although I do have this strange idea, I think Ancelotti may target something like the League Cup because it does guarantee you European football. It's a trophy, and I think some of the managers from other parts of the world will just say it's a trophy.
Yeah.
You know, look, Mr. Chairman, you know, you gave me £200 million to spend, and I've given you a trophy kind of mentality. So, you know, I wouldn't necessarily assume it'll be an Everton second string if we play them, but it will certainly be much tougher opposition than we've seen so far. And yeah, I'm happy that we won last week. I'm happy that we won tonight, but it's kind of meaningless because, as I said in the commentary, Hull City simply weren't interested tonight. Seriously, I mean, they just weren't interested at all, and it's almost a Pyrrhic victory. You know, you've won, but what have you won? And that's why I've been making the comments about Haller. You know, it's 2 goals, but yeah, so what? So what? You know, and it's the same really. We've won, but so what? Beat Everton, if it is Everton, then you've got cause to say, do you know what? We've had 2 easy beats that we should be beating, but then eventually you've got to play the teams that you wouldn't say you should be beating. You've got to work hard to beat them. So the next round will tell us really how seriously we're taking this competition, and I hope we take it seriously. I really do, because, you know, me saying what Everton might see or Ancelotti sees as a route to Europe, I'd like to think that David Moyes would view it that way. You know, but you look at him. You know, we're going to play Wolves probably on Sunday night, and he's going to be starting at centre back with Balbuena, Ogbonna, Cresswell if he goes with his 3 at the back kind of thing. Alternatively, and you know, I wouldn't rule it out, we might see Declan Rice drop into the back line.
Yeah.
You know, and that wouldn't surprise me, but has he got the bodies in midfield? You know, and we keep coming back to it because we haven't done sufficient business in the transfer window. Here we are, we're in September, and the manager is already running out of bodies, you know, in crucial areas. And it's kind of like, well, I could move him there or I could give him a game, but it's not very good, is it? You know, and I suspect Everton might have more choices in the next round. But the big concern for me, Wolves, and we're going into it with at least 2 players not available. You know, have we had an update on Noble's toe?
Nothing yet. No, nothing.
Yeah, no.
You know, and it's kind of like, would you start with Wilshere in any position? No, not for my money. So again, if you wanted to move Rice into the back line, you're running out of options of who to shore up midfield. And it just shows how hard a job our manager has, given the limitations of the squad he has mainly inherited. Yeah, he's made 2 really good acquisitions, but it's Pellegrini's squad still, and I fear for us on Sunday. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, well, of course, it's not just Pellegrini's squad, is it? There's players in there that's Bilic signed, and even Allardyce, with regards to Cresswell, and 1 or 2 others. But question for you, Noam. You know, let's come back to the weekend in just a moment, but let's stick with the Carabao Cup for now. 2 solid wins under our belts. You know, let's be positive. We've as we always say, we can only beat what is in front of us, and we've done that
Yeah.
comfortably so far. Can we win this competition?
Difficult, because the likes of Manchester City do take it seriously, and they've got a sort of squad that, even if they were larking about, you look at the players that they'd have in that team that they've got. So difficult, yeah. I mean, this season of all seasons, given that everything's one match straight to penalties, we've got a chance of doing. Do I think we will? I think it's unlikely, but yeah. While we're still in it, I'll remain optimistic on it.
Okay.
And as Pinky said, I mean, we've got too much of this. Let's hope we finish 17th bit going around. Yeah, it's a competition we have a chance of winning. So, if as it's expected, Everton come through, then we'll see how much we're thinking about it. Of course, if you win it this year, you go into some brand new competition next season. The Thursday night conference, which sounds like the Europa Conference League or something, which is all a bit, it's let's add another competition where one probably wasn't wanted. But yeah, it's still Europe, and if we if we win the League Cup and we can get into Europe, then we might have some good nights, as long as we can avoid Astra Giurgiu or whatever they're called.
Okay, good stuff. Pinky, just quickly, do you think we've got a chance this year, or do you think it's the same as the other competitions that once you get to the latter rounds, you're going to be meeting the likes of Man City with their huge squads, Chelsea, of course, that can afford to send 30 players out on loan, etc. And that's really sort of another avenue closed off to us.
It's a long shot. I think the semi-final is a realistic ambition. Because Everton probably in the next round, but we shouldn't be terrified of playing Everton. They're the club that Baroness Brady always holds up as kind of our peer group. So if we're suddenly making Everton the new Man City or the new Chelsea or whatever it may be, then we're starting to run out of clubs who we will ever beat. So for me, a semi-final could be a possibility.
Okay.
But the chances are you're going to come up against Man City, Chelsea, Manchester United, one of the clubs that have just got more resources than we currently do. The one caveat I put on all that, we've lost a couple of players and a manager tonight to COVID. That's going to carry on, because the restart, they did very well by keeping all the players in bubbles and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
Locking up multi-millionaire players for 11 and 12 months may prove a bit difficult. And I think we'll see a continual stream of players being tested for COVID, testing positive, and not being available for their clubs. And who knows, maybe Manchester City, maybe Kevin De Bruyne, maybe Aguero, maybe, the keeper kind of thing. Maybe they get 4 or 5 players out at a time of the season where the game still goes ahead, and then they become beatable. So COVID could actually have a big impact on where the trophies go this year.
Yeah, it's a very good point.
Look at Tottenham, who look like they might be given a bye to the next round, where they might, we'd have normally expected it to be thrashed by Leyton Orient. So, it's that sort of thing's happening.
Yeah, we shall. Well, it's definitely going to be a developing story, that one, and of course it could develop as far as West Ham are concerned. Yet we shall wait to see. But of course, I should stress that we would like to wish the very best to David Moyes and Issa and Josh, given the news that they've been confirmed as having contracted coronavirus. We wish them all the very best and a swift recovery, and look forward to seeing them all involved in first team action again very soon. But we are going to wrap up very soon tonight. Before we do, I just want to take a few more of your comments. We do thank you, first of all, for everybody who's joined us tonight on the live stream and also on the KUMB Match Forum. We thoroughly appreciate your input. Just having a quick look at YouTube, some of the comments that have been made. Going back to, we were discussing Sebastian Haller a little earlier on. Pinky made the point that even though he scored 2 goals tonight, he didn't really show enough enthusiasm or put in as much effort as is probably required to push for a place in the starting 11. That may, of course, change now, depending on what happens with the coronavirus situation. It remains to be seen. But Gavin McGrath, talking about that, says the argument that Haller needs a player alongside him is weak. He's had that shot several times. Is his work rate going to improve if he plays next to Antonio? That's a fair point. Definitely something worth mentioning. Haller needs someone to do his running, says Trodge. And Hammer Mulder says, we don't need new players. The ones we have need to turn up. Talking about the potential takeover, we've had loads of news and rumours and suggestions in the last week. Stuart Dowell says, I feel there will be a takeover soon, as the owners aren't giving Moyes any money. And he says, we need new players because time and time again, existing players aren't turning up. Dan Grimsey, a friend of the show, someone I used to play football, it says Yarmolenko has to be in for Bowen. Yarma has the know-how. Haller for Fornals. An interesting shout from Dan there. And Kenneth Sullivan says, thanks for the coverage tonight, team. Far better than the commentary until the next game. Come on, you Irons. Thank you, Kenneth. We really appreciate your kind words there. Kieran James Devaney says, we've been criticised so many times about losing to lower level teams. Let's enjoy it when we get it right. And, a point we've just been speaking about, Kieran. And I think we, as we said, I don't know about you guys, but I've been entertained in the last couple of matches, watching us put 8 goals, into the back of Hull City and Charlton's net. We know the opposition isn't of the highest quality, but, we're West Ham fans. We want to see us win. So, we have enjoyed it, Kieran. And I hope you have too. And Aaron says, it seems more and more players are going down with COVID recently. I reckon losing 2 or 3 first-team players a week will happen regularly this year. So coming back to what Pinky was suggesting a few moments ago, all the more reason to be active in the transfer market. Pinky, do we think this might have something to do with the reason why Mr. Sullivan hasn't been investing in the transfer market? Do you think he's maybe slightly concerned that, we've seen the news today with the government suggesting that there could be another 6-month delay on the return of football fans to club, Premier League stadia, which in turn is going to cost West Ham and all the other 19 Premier League clubs millions and millions of pounds. I think that's maybe a reason. Maybe he's sort of got that in the back of his mind for not putting his hand in his pocket, or am I perhaps just making an excuse for Mr. Sullivan there?
No, I think he's got it absolutely in the front of his mind.
Okay.
Never mind the back of his mind.
Mm-hmm.
Let's understand what this means. When we talk about match day income for football clubs, it is ticket sales, primarily. It's you and I paying at the gate or, with our season tickets.
Yeah.
And for West Ham United, that's 27 million quid. Okay. Lot of money.
Yeah.
And suddenly, if they're saying no supporters there to the end of March, the club have committed that they'll refund people who have bought season tickets, on a match by match basis. On my ticket, I was told, you just got all the money back straight away. Now, of course, there's nothing in writing on that, but the reality is the club know at some point they will have to either refund that money or forego next season's ticket money equivalent.
Yeah.
Tottenham Hotspur, it's 82 million pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Arsenal, it's 96. So the clubs that play a lot of games, so these clubs with huge squads, who are playing either Europa or Champions League, plus our domestic cups, and they tend to go quite a long way in them. I saw a stat saying that if Harry Kane stayed fit and was picked in every game for both Tottenham and England this year, he could end up this being an 80-match season for him.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. So if you just take the club side of it and say, let's say Tottenham go all the way in every competition, 65 games. Say half of those are at home. Tottenham, £2.5 million per game match day income.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're closed, you don't get that money. And so for football, it's devastating news, and spare a thought for clubs in League One and League Two, because as the further down the league you go, I think League Two, it's something like 85% of their income
Yeah.
comes at gate money.
Yeah, well,
So
that's the
here's
problem,
a
isn't it?
bold
It's not so much. I
prediction.
mean, we talk
Sheffield
about Premier
United-
League teams, suffering, but it's life or death for those teams further down the football pyramid, isn't it? It really is.
We had Matt on from the Athletic, on one of the podcasts 6-7 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Southend United supporter, and they've got something like 3 weeks to find 480 grand, or they'll be wound up. And you imagine how they're feeling right now when they say, okay, our primary source of income, we're just not going to see. They're as good as dead in the water. The other aspect to all this, and to bring it back to transfers, the transfer window in the domestic championship, so we can buy players from the championship clubs, I think lasts about 3 weeks longer than the main transfer window. And what I'm expecting from our club is to raid the championship, and there'll be a few clubs in the championship absolutely desperate for cash. And I think there'll be a number of Premier League clubs that will absolutely shamelessly take it right to the wire and say, do you know what, that player who you thought was valued at £23 million is £4.10, but it's cash.
Yeah.
And they'll come out with all the lines. Don't sell to me with a bad heart. If you don't think, £5 for your player is a good deal, then don't sell him to me. Yeah. And there'll be an element of that going on. It'll all be dressed up as the Premier League bailing out the Championship, but in reality, it'll be mugging them blind. And I expect, if we're looking at where we need to recruit, I'll be looking at who Will Salthouse has on his books as centre backs in the Championship, and that's what I'd expect to arrive. A bargain Championship centre back on Salthouse's books. That would be my take.
Okay, good stuff. Thank you. And Noam, do you go along with that? Do you see Sullivan still dipping it? I mean, because we were told when the club sold Grady Diangana that the money would be reinvested in the squad. That was getting on for 3 weeks ago. I think tomorrow that's 3 weeks to the day since we learned that Diangana was going to Albion. Do you agree with Pinky that, we will buy players and that, we are going to dip into sort of the lower leagues? Or do you think that now, given the latest revelations, that the Premier League, may not see supporters in its grounds until next March, maybe not even until the 21-22 season now? What are your thoughts? Where do you stand on that?
I'd say to Pinky, I can see us sort of going to a lower level club and saying we'll pay you £5 for that player.
Yeah.
And 6 months' time, reading a headline that we still owe that club £5 for that player.
Yeah.
I mean, it is going to be sort of like almost asset stripping, and Pinky's quite right. Players are going to be, or clubs are going to be so desperate at the lower leagues, where gate receipts are pretty much everything. The millions that we get at West Ham for a TV deal turn into thousands. You and I did, I think, an interview years ago with Scott Duxbury, where he actually told us the figures, the comparison between what you get, and it was an amazing difference. Even back then, it was what we got was peanuts for a championship game. And I in those intervening years, I can only see the gap having got wider. And will we sign anyone? We've got a couple of things that have thrown spanners in the works, in that Mr. Moyes is now stuck at home for 10 days. So that'll make things difficult.
Well, he can concentrate on the transfer market now, can't he? Because he hasn't got to go to the training ground.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to, the logistics of how we're going to do that. But yeah, clearly we've identified areas that we need players in. There's also an atmosphere that I'm getting the impression, and this may be completely wrong, that Moyes has already been sort of offered players that don't meet his quality standards, if you like.
Yeah.
So I think Moyes would rather sign nobody than have someone foisted on him purely for the sake of it. So it wouldn't surprise me if we ended up with nobody, because we've not got anybody good enough, or there's nobody good enough available. Now, that's not ideal in any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's going to be an interesting couple of weeks. What have we got? Two and a bit weeks now for the deadline.
Yeah, I think it's October the 6th, isn't it, for for buying abroad, and then I think it's the 15th or 16th domestically that you can bring players in until. So you get that extra bit of leeway for domestic signings.
I also suspect that we're going to be bombarded with bids put in for reasonably decent players who haven't really got a hope of signing. Is it official that we've given up on Tarkowski now on the grounds that he doesn't want to come and the club don't want to sell him, and we don't want to give them anywhere near what the club value of that? So
yes, we don't want to give them money we don't have.
Yeah.
I think that's what it boils down to, isn't it?
Yeah, what it is we'd rather not pay them 30 million, and they'd rather not receive 45. But yeah, I mean, I think we might see one or two more of those bids that a source close to the owners will leak to Jim White.
Yes.
Yes.
And
yeah,
that's good. So we shall see anyway. Of course, we have got, as Noam rightly pointed out there, we've got another 3 weeks or so until the transfer window closes domestically. It does, of course, close a little bit earlier for foreign transfers, but still plenty of time to bring players in. Regardless, it's a desperate situation, as Pinky's rightly pointed out, for many lower league clubs who absolutely rely and depend upon the money that comes through the gate every Saturday afternoon. Not quite as important for Premier League clubs because of the vast amount of money that we earn in revenue via the TV deals, but it's still going to play its part, and we've seen that already. Of course, I guess the real issue you've got there, Pinky, is that, you know, we saw the government announcement today, but I just wonder if those in charge of making the rules and regulations look at the Premier League, and let's be honest, it's been pretty outrageous spending again this summer. There's not many clubs who haven't spent, you know, millions and millions of pounds in the transfer market, when you might perhaps be expecting them to sort of cut their cloth accordingly, given, you know, the perilous situation that everyone's in. I just wonder whether perhaps that maybe had, you know, a bearing on the decision today.
I don't know. I mean, I think we should recognise that football generally actually is a good money spinner for the government.
Yeah.
I mean, you take, you know, £1,000 season ticket. Well, £200 of that's going straight to the government. You know, in terms of VAT. You know, so you then get the tax and national insurance on the players' wages and so forth.
Yeah.
So football is a good money spinner. But I think in general terms, one of the things that grates with Joe Public is if you hear the Premier League pleading poverty, it's not a good look.
Yeah.
So again, we saw our vice chair at the weekend, you know, pleading for supporters to be allowed back in. It's financially driven in terms of, come on. She's not doing it to say we want the supporters back in. She's doing it because we want the supporters' money.
Yeah,
actually,
of course.
we don't want to hand back the supporters' money. So, you know, that kind of thing, but it's not a good look. And it's not a good look when in an industry, almost all of the money is in the very top echelon.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, there are lower league clubs facing going out of business, grassroots football that can't do any kind of development on clubs and their facilities or whatever it may be. And there's some real hardship coming for sports clubs.
Yeah.
But every time the Premier League say, you know, life's unfair, people just say, well, yeah, if you're going to pay a player 400 grand a week,
yeah,
you know, you get what you deserve. You know, if you go bankrupt, well, you know, it ain't, you know, it's not our fault that you're bad business people. So I think that we need to be a bit careful. I'd like to see the Premier League show a little bit of humility in all this and almost accept the fact there aren't going to be any supporters in stadiums this year. Don't try and, force the issue, because it will put a strain on, certain resources that are perhaps better deployed for the country elsewhere, and just accept the reality of the situation. And I think, we faced the Euros being played behind closed doors.
Yep.
This problem isn't going to be solved by Christmas. It's not going to be solved by March. It's not going to be solved by next summer. And clubs need to start thinking slightly longer term. What if we're still in this position this time next year, and they have to go 2 whole seasons without supporters' income? And a lot of those supporters, particularly at a club like ours, you're talking about the over 50 brigade, a couple of seasons of not actually having to get off your arse and go into Stratford, and you get used to watching it on a stream or on telly. Are you ever going back?
Mm-hmm.
And I suspect an awful lot won't be. And football, rather than saying we need to get the supporters back into the grounds as fast as possible, football needs to start thinking about surviving as an industry without supporters at the game, probably for a considerable period of time. And they need to wake up and smell the coffee.
Mm-hmm.
This is a global pandemic that the health people are saying is still at the start. Football, fans in the stadium by October. It was never going to happen.
Yeah.
Never ever. And so for all the clubs, I see real financial hardship, but the Premier League clubs, they've got no excuse. They get gifted billions by TV companies.
Mm-hmm.
And if they choose to waste it now, shame on them. I've got no real issue if our chairman came out and said, we can't sign any players because we have no money, and what we do have, we need to make sure the club doesn't go bust. But that requires honesty. What I don't want to see is fake bids for players that aren't going to come because the bids aren't really real, just to string the supporters along. Just be straight and just say, we haven't got any money. We're not going to sign anyone. And the manager's got to make do and mend. Yeah, good night, everyone. That's how it's going to be. What's wrong with that?
Okay, fair enough. There was a statement going back to that whole issue there that the Premier League made at lunchtime today in response to the government's announcement that plans for supporters to return to the stadium on the 1st of October were likely to be delayed by up to 6 months. And as Pinky rightfully says there, I think, it could be considerably longer. But the statement read as follows. The Premier League notes the government's announcement today, and while the health of the nation must remain everyone's priority, we are disappointed that the safe return of supporters to matches has been postponed. The Premier League is certain that through league-wide guidelines and a code of conduct developed with scientific experts and agreed by the government's Sports Grounds Safety Authority, fans in stadiums will be as safe or even safer than at any other public activity currently permitted. This is already evident in other European leagues. Football is not the same without attending fans, and the football economy is unsustainable without them. Last season, Premier League clubs suffered £700 million in losses, and at present, our national game is losing more than £100 million every month. This is starting to have a devastating impact on clubs and their communities. We are confident that Premier League clubs using innovative ways to get supporters safely back into grounds will enable revenues to return to all levels of the game, as well as maintain solidarity arrangements, current tax contributions, and financial support for local and national economies. While there is a current pause in a date for fans returning to sports venues, the Premier League and our clubs will not slow down in our preparations for providing safe, biosecure environments. We will continue to work with government to bring supporters' safety back into grounds as soon as possible. Noam, where do you stand on that issue? We've just very quickly, we're going to have to call it a day in just a moment, but finally, let's end on this point. How long is it, do you think, before supporters are likely to be allowed back? Do you see it at all this season now? And do you think that it's going to be the case that West Ham United, as well as the other Premier League clubs, are going to have to refund all those supporters they've taken season ticket fees off for the current season?
Personally, I'd be very surprised if it were this season now. With the new restrictions announced today, or the extra restrictions announced today, we've been advised that it's likely to be 6 months on current form, which means that I'll have spent a whole year working from here in my day job. I think whilst I can appreciate the authorities' desire to get people back into the stadium as soon as possible, and I guess most of us, one way or another, who do go to matches would like to be able to go to matches. I think the Premier League, rich and powerful as it is, has got to accept that it's not in a bubble itself. It's part of the wider community, and it's got to take responsibility. I mean, it's not a special case, I'm afraid. I mean, much as we love the game and the game sort of rules our lives to a certain degree, the public health must come first. Now, you can argue left, right, and centre as to whether the restrictions are right or not, and that's another political argument for elsewhere. But at the current situation is that everybody is suffering one way or another. I'm going up the walls sitting here to do my work, and it's the same for everybody. We're the old phrase about all being in this together. You've got to sort of accept that there is a major health issue at large, and you've got to behave in a responsible manner. And the Premier League saying, we want fans back in as soon as possible is almost akin to people saying, well, I'm not wearing a mask because I don't believe in it, sort of thing. It's, we're the Premier League, we should be able to do what we want. Well, sorry, the wider, I mean, at the end of the day, seriously as I take me football, and we all know, all of us do, the end of the day, it's not that important if it means people are dying for it.
And just something in the mixer there, they're good. We've had 2 players diagnosed tonight. We're told they're asymptomatic. Similar story, I think, with the Leyton Orient players. God forbid, but sooner or later, we could face a story that is front page news where a Premier League footballer becomes C19 positive and develops a serious illness. And again, God forbid, even worse. Would that make the Premier League stop and think that it really isn't all about them?
I mean, on top of everything else, Pinky, it's not just the statement there, and I haven't read it and digested it in perhaps as much detail, so I apologise if I'm doing anybody a disservice here, but the statement seems a bit blinkered to me because it's talking about fans going to the stadium and we'll get the stadiums ready in as a biosecure way as possible, which is fine. Okay. You get people into Stratford, all of whom will have travelled on the Jubilee line, the Central line, National Rail. There'll be people coming on buses. On the way in, because at the moment pubs are still open, people will go into a pub. Okay, it's table service and they'll limit the numbers, but each part of that, and I hate the phrase match day experience, is another opportunity for somebody to pick up the virus. And it's not just the football element, it's the travel, it's the, when you're queuing up to go through security, the queues are already quite long. Well, they're going to be 4 times the length because it's going to be 2 meters or whatever it is between each person. And, you've got to take the wider view of this. And, much as it pains me to say, I love my football and I'm missing it terribly. Even West Ham at their worst, it's still, it's still the club we love and everything. But you've got to take a wider view of this. I mean, I could go, they could open it up tomorrow for Sunday, and you're allowed in. Great, I turn up there. I come away from that and I'm fine. But what's to say that I haven't been in contact with somebody who isn't? And my personal situation, my girlfriend's in a high risk category. I think legally or technically I am, but my parents are elderly. one of them gets it, I'm fine. One of them gets it, and they're less capable of dealing with it, and that's all because I was selfish enough to want to go to a football match. You know, I don't want that to happen. But it's my personal view, and I'm quite prepared to people may disagree with me, and yeah, that's fine. But that's just personal view.
Good stuff. Thank you. No, Pinky, last word to you, buddy, on this one.
Yeah, and that's then we get into the, well, who actually gets allowed in, and on what basis, and the so-called lucky ballot. So 15,000 people getting in. Let me tell you very clearly, yeah, if you've bought a cheapo £99 ticket, you ain't going to be lucky in the ballot. If you've got a £289 ticket, you're really unlikely to be lucky in the ballot. If, on the other hand, you've got a £4,500 seat in the Arnold Hills, you are Mr. Lucky. And you know, it's that kind of thing, because we just know, and in particular with our club, if the club is as skint as the likes of me think it really is, and if it isn't, then why did the directors have a rights issue back in June? Are they going to want to refund, you know, 1/19 of a corporate ticket every time they don't get lucky in the ballot? Or are they rather happier to refund 1/19 of a £99 ticket to the poor 8-year-old that didn't get lucky in the ballot? And so you've got all of that going on, and it's kind of like the whole thing is just fake. And when you were reading out the statement, and I heard the phrase biosecure, do me a favour, football supporters, we're all going to trudge in, sit in our seats, applaud. We're not going to sing the songs and all the rest of it. You know, we're not going to hug each other when we score. You know,
Arsenal.
I take absolutely. It's it isn't football without the fans, but equally, it's not football just because people are in the ground. If the fans can't behave as fans,
yeah,
and I'm afraid football, particularly the Premier League, needs to get real. I have huge sympathy with the lower league clubs who desperately need the cash. But do you know what? Football's had 6 months now to prepare itself for this.
Mm-hmm.
Where is the real leadership where they're actually saying we need to be thinking about preserving our industry rather than individual club parochialism? And it's just not there, because the FA gave up years ago when the Premier League was formed, you know, and the whole administration of the game is a mess. And we're gonna wake up in a year, and our 92 club system will see 15 to 20 departures. That's how serious I think it will be.
Yeah.
There'll be clubs that we have played against that will be wound up, disappeared, and gone. Yeah, and some of them, you know, some of them would have played a number of times, and it's very sad. But football as an industry does not help itself. It really doesn't. And you know, I don't think there's any chance of supporters being in the ground this year. None at all. I fully expect to see our club announcing schemes whereby if you leave the cash that you've already handed over with the club, you might get some kind of a discount in the future or something like that. Clubs will be desperate, but they're not so desperate that they're going to reform how they behave, are they? And Premier League clubs won't get a lot of sympathy. League Two, I think they'll get sympathy, but what they really need is cash.
Mm-hmm.
And it ain't going to arrive. I fear for the lower leagues, I really do.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. Some really excellent contributions there. I mean, I think that's a debate that we could extend into a much longer session, but but unfortunately we are out of time as far as tonight goes. Dark days ahead, it would seem, for not just the Premier League, not just for West Ham United, the rest of the Premier League, but also the entire league pyramid and beyond. Pinky, of course, referred there to grassroots football. And it is, of course, affecting everyone. Every industry is being affected at the moment. Football is no different to any other field or industry in that respect. And as I say, it looks like dark days may well be ahead. As far as this particular day is concerned, we can go out on a happy note because West Ham have ended it winning passage through to the 4th round of the Carabao Cup. We have beaten Hull City by 5-1 on the night. Goals from Robert Snodgrass, 2 from Andrei Yarmolenko, 2 from Sebastian Haller. The sad news, of course, on the night is that David Moyes, Issa Diop and Josh Cullen have been put in isolation, having contracted coronavirus. We do, of course, wish them the very best on behalf of everybody involved with KUMB. We wish them and anyone else who is affected the very best, and our best wishes for a speedy recovery. We hope to see them all involved again very soon. But as far as that is it for tonight, that is everything as far as we're concerned. That is us done. I'd just like to end by thanking my team. Oh, I sounded a bit Karen Brady-esque there, didn't I? My team, no, the KUMB team, of which I am a member. Noam, myself, and Pink Palermo. I'm thanking myself now. This is getting even worse. But thank you, gentlemen, for joining me on the stream tonight. Thank you, of course, to everybody who's joined us on YouTube. We thoroughly appreciate your involvement. Loved having your comments. Sorry that we didn't get to read some more of them out, but thank you for joining us. We look forward to seeing you again very soon. Also to everybody who participates in KUMB and also the forum, who's been involved in the match thread. Thank you for your contributions. And we shall see you all very soon. If you've enjoyed what you've watched tonight, don't forget to give us a like and also subscribe to the channel so you can be notified next time we go live or when additional content is uploaded. It just leaves me to say one thing, apart from we'll see you all very soon, and that is, come on, you Irons.
Come on, you Irons.
Night all.
Night.